right, welcome back to the party, everybody. I'm your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. How is everybody doing tonight? Big shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much for coming back, even though you missed the live party. That is the best part. So make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So subscribe, ring that bell, and you will never, ever miss an Indian Jesus live party ever again. Also want to say a big thank you to my6shirt.com. Whatever your persuasion, they've got something for you. And of course, it is the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch. Only at my6shirt.com. All right. What is going on? I am excited for this one. We got Splits in the building already. What is good? Harley's here. How are we doing? I'm excited for this one, guys. I'm excited. We're doing something a little bit different. Not super different. So you're going to like it, though. So you guys know we cover Timcast a lot. And I almost maybe too much sometimes. So I want to branch out a little bit, but I know that we are definitely going to have some fun with our friend Phil Labonte. If you're not familiar, he is sometimes the second or third chair on Timcast as of since whenever Luke left. And he's been doing some pretty great stuff there. But he got his fame being the singer of the band All That Remains. It's a metal band. He's been in a bunch of other bands. So he's here on the Punk Rock MBA, and they're talking about the intersection of music and politics and all that good stuff. So we're actually going to do something super different. And I'm going to let them do the intro, and then we're going to skip to the back half of the interview, and then we're going to come back. Trust me, it's going to be cool. Let's do it.
Phil, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me here. And first of all, I got to give you a round of applause for appearing on the same podcast as the legend Alex Jones. Achievement unlocked.
Alex Jones is probably the best meme generator in history. There are some people that come close, but Alex Jones is one of the greatest meme generators ever. And just the fact that I get to meet him and talk to an icon of entertainment.
Obama, you shape-shifting demon.
He doesn't like Obama, but he's got more ire for the Clintons. And probably rightly so.
Hey, we got indie film in the building. Welcome to the party. A club kid. Well, you're gonna learn today.
Sure.
Obama definitely Obama got into it late. Like he was already in his 30s, and he went straight into senator, and then he didn't have a long career of being a scumbag politician before he got into office. Bill Clinton had plenty of time to accrue rape accusations and possible suicide connections and stuff. There's all kinds of fun that you can have with the Clintons. Obama's boring. Yeah. He really is. The best they could come up with is, he was born in Hawaii, so maybe he wasn't born in America. Give me a break. Right? That's
right. Well,
that's not nearly as much fun as Hillary Clinton is a shape-shifting demon that sucks the blood of children.
It's true. I'm still looking for my adrenochrome connection, because as I'm getting older, I'm looking for something that's going to give me that boost in the morning, and maybe that's it.
I tell you what, there is something that'll give you that boost. It's called Trenbolone, but I don't want to go any further than that.
All right, so that's just a little intro right there, and then we're just going to skip ahead when they're actually talking about some politics stuff, and then we're going to go back, because they do a lot of cultural stuff, and just trust me.
So getting back to what we were talking about earlier, you get branded as a conservative.
Yep.
But I think you've always been very clear that you're a libertarian, which, as we talked about before, are two different things. But I almost feel like there's a lot of people, especially people on the left, who kind of almost hate libertarians and centrists more than they do conservatives. They seem to get really upset about it. Like they want you to, pick a side. Yeah. Have you seen that? I don't understand that.
So the left, the general consensus of the left is everyone not a communist is a fascist. And and the reason, and it from their perspective, I mean, we can laugh at it as normal people, but that perspective is, I mean, again, we're laughing about it, but that's why
this is so insane. But you're right.
That's why you hear people call Donald Trump a fascist.
Right.
Like Donald Trump
I think Trump sucked. I can't stand him. He's a fucking asshole, but he's not a fascist.
No,
he follows the rule of law.
So that gives you a nice little picture right there of where Finn, the interviewer, where Finn Mckenty, where he is coming from. Born and raised in the Portland area, and he's always been pretty liberal, but he's like a Gen Xer type dude, so not real, and into the music scene. So his politics are not really at the forefront of what he does, but he does have that kind of centrist liberal leaning.
He's a Democrat from the 2000s. Like his
total
douchebag. His policies
Literally
are not remarkably distinguishable from Barack Obama's, except
or Bill Clinton. Equally scummy as Bill Clinton.
Yeah, exactly. But the left believes, so there's a phrase that you hear again on the far left, but the phrase is liberals get the bullet too. And that's because they believe that liberals believe that liberals prevent communists who are totalitarian and authoritarian. They prevent communists from finally eradicating the fascist threat. They believe that people that are centrist make exception, and they say, well, we need to hear the racists out. Like that's.
Oh, we got the Uncle Junior Network in the building. Welcome to the party. Another great YouTuber over there. Just dropped the link in the chat. Please go check them out. Said greetings, stopping by for a few minutes. I hope all is well. Indeed it is, and same to you. Welcome. But yeah, so they're making a good point that it's very easy for them to demonize people, way for the leftists to demonize people way on the other side of the aisle. But there's a more pointed ire at people who are supposed to be smart enough, supposed to be good enough to have the right ideas and don't. And yes, Morty, welcome to the party. Yeah.
The trope that you get from the communists, it's like, well, centrists are like, well, we have to hear the Nazis out and give them their time. And it's like, no, that is a straw man argument.
Right.
And that's and they do that because they have shitty arguments, because communism doesn't fucking work.
And you guys know that I'm all about free speech, especially if you've been in the Discord server. That I try to go above and beyond to make sure that it really is a free speech platform. And if it's something, if there's something there that you don't like, that it's up to you to either deal with the person or block them or whatever. Hey, we got 2B Artistry in the building. Welcome, girl. How are you doing? It says, I don't really demonize them. I mostly feel sorry for them. Yeah, that's the old adage that the people on the left think the people on the right are evil because they don't know what they think. Whereas people on the right tend to feel this way about people on the left because they do understand that they are just misinformed or uninformed or whatever it is.
Period. Right. And so what they do is they paint their opponents as the most evil thing that you can come up with, which is what Nazis are. Mm-hmm. So they paint their opponents as, if not the most evil thing, then they're making room for the most evil thing. That's what liberals do. Liberals make room for the Nazis. Liberals accept the Nazis. Liberals will sometimes they'll pick the Nazis. And again, and I don't want to get too political theory, but even when they're talking about the fascists, they're implying the Nazis, but the fascists are not all fascists are Nazis. Like, it's like all Mustangs are Fords, but not all Fords are Mustangs. Like, Mussolini's fascism was very different than the National Socialism of Nazi Germany. You know, like, and
at the end of the day, what is the difference between one type of murderous authoritarian and the next? You can put whatever ism on it that you want, but at the end of the day, they're all the same thing in my book.
Yeah, I'm very, very pro-liberal American, right? I'm a pro-liberal thought. So,
and so that's thinking in like the classical liberal sense, not the liberal as we're saying somebody who voted for Biden.
Like Ben Franklin, I think it was Ben Franklin. I might mess this paraphrase up, so I hate referencing it. But he said something along the lines of, if you go and put security over liberty, then you're not going to get either. But if you put liberty over security, you get a high degree of both.
So I thought when I heard him say this before, I thought he was messing up the he who would trade liberty for safety deserves neither, which is what Finn's about to correct him. But he's actually making a different point.
Right, you get a very high.
I think it was
degree
like those who would choose security over liberty deserve neither, or something like that.
Yeah, and no, so it might have been an economist who phrased it the way they did. But the point is, the high degree of both is the important thing. Like, if you put liberty over security, you get a very high degree of security, because people that have the freedom to make choices want to live in a secure society.
So the point he's making is that, yes, you can have a balance of liberty and safety, but if you focus on the high degree of safety, you are guaranteed to not have any liberty. But if you maximize liberty, you may not have as much safety. But number one, you have liberty, so you can do things personally that you don't need society to protect you. And then number two, as you just said, people generally make free choices to live in a secure society. People don't want to live, where shit's going down.
And so people that want security, right, you end up focusing on the security part, and you totally lose the liberty part, and people find ways around the system anyways when it comes to the security part. You end up with a government, when they try to produce security, they impose a tyranny on the population. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the reason, I guess, to tie up what you're kind of pointing at, is a lot of the reason why I get the hate that I get from people is because it's coming from the far left. And because I am a reasonably articulate defender of American and liberal principles. And so because I am a fairly articulate defender of American and liberal principles, the people on the far left have to associate me with the most evil, because what they want to do is have people not listen to me. It's not about refuting my arguments. They don't want people to hear my arguments, because if they hear my arguments, they say, oh, he's a reasonable, normal guy. Oh,
yeah. Harley's saying, if everyone has liberty, security ends up becoming more natural. People want that. It makes sense. And that's the other, we talk about this all the time, but what Phil is talking about right now is the idea that it's not about bringing your ideas to the table and saying, no, my ideas are better than your ideas. It's just saying, no, nobody can hear your ideas. I don't care. I like my ideas. And that's the end.
Oh, he's got
you're pretty mild.
I am.
They brand you as some sort of like far right nutcase.
Well, that's because he's on Tim Pool's show, and Tim Pool had this person who was that whole thing.
Pretty goddamn moderate.
Next to
they want me to be Tommy vexed, right? And I'm friends with Tommy, and I love Tommy, but Tommy's a MAGA guy, right? Like, I'm not a MAGA guy. I've never been a MAGA guy. Granted, I did vote for Trump in 2016, but the option was Hillary Clinton.
Yep. I gotta take heat for that one more time. Never gonna live it down. That's what happens when you're underinformed and misinformed. You can get brainwashed into voting for a Clinton that's not Bill. Swit says, one of the most common things I hear from the left is all ideas are welcome unless they go against one of mine. Yeah, exactly. They don't like it unless it's exactly what they already think.
Come on. So anyways, like, they want me to be, and there's I think that part of the reason why they want me to be that is because of my identity. Like I'm a white guy, right? You know, whereas Tommy's like, he's half black. They can't attack Tommy the same way they can attack me. And so if I was like a MAGA guy, they would be going after me because the dude from Trap, that guy that was making a bunch of
he's
stink.
like mentally ill.
Yeah, but they want me to be.
What was he doing? That guy in Trap? I think he was like diddling children or something like that. Headstrong, I'll take you on.
Him.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
that's the way they treat me. They talk about me as if I am something I am not. And you know, I've never been super vocal about trying to defend myself because I don't need to defend myself from what are absolutely absurd accusations. If I defend myself, then it's if I feel like
you can't win.
Well, what he's saying is that once you agree that whoever the they is, what they are talking about is legitimate, and when it comes to who you are and your ideas being bad and you being a morally corrupt person because of your politics and stuff like that, once you're having that conversation on their terms, you've already lost. You've already lost because they through their semantic obfuscation, there's always a way to twist their logic around reality to make you seem like a Nazi.
Win anyway.
Yeah.
It's not like there's anything you could ever say or do that would make them be like, actually Phil's all right. I was wrong about him.
Yeah. I mean, the guys
you've sinned. I mean, it's basically a holy war.
It is.
For them.
It is. And
you have sinned and you will always be a sinner.
You have no idea how accurate it is because the left really, the operating system of the left is actually a religion, and it gets into if you look at
and the same can be true on the right.
Thank you. Is that all I ever talk about? All I ever talk about. We've been talking about we did a specific video with scientism, but leftism itself is its own religion. All the atheists are over there, but I seem to be the only smart one. No, not the only one. There's a bunch of us, but and Harley says ideas when it comes to problem solving have to be practical and applicable. Otherwise, they do tend to get rejected. Yeah, I mean, if it don't work, then we ain't gonna try it.
Well, that's because on the right there are religions. It's Christianity, and it's like the right is where Christianity is. The right is where all your traditional religions are. There is a secular religion on the left that the left denies exists.
Exactly.
They completely deny. They're like, no, this is just science, and et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, wait a minute.
And again, like I was just saying, this is the dichotomy that we find ourselves in. And so if you watch the video that I put out just a couple hours ago, I was talking about, it was about Bill Maher's joke about Atheism Day. If we want real diversity, then 1/3 of the country is non-believers. So we have to have a special day for them. And it's funny, go watch it. But the fact that we don't have a specific God leaves room for a something else. And if you're not aware of the something else, if you're not aware of that and you allow it to be filled with either the government or just a cult leader or anything like that, then you know what I mean, you have no defenses against it.
That's not how science works. Science is a process.
There is no such thing as the science.
Yeah, it's
that's literally the exact opposite of the scientific process.
100%. So the religions on the
right. Uncle Junior Network in the Discord. Join now while it is still free, guys.
Critical of the people on the left is, for one, because I'm surrounded by those people, and two, because as you said, they deny it. The people on the right would be like, yes, I'm a religious fundamentalist. Correct.
Yes.
Like, all right, well, we all understand what this is.
So I think it was Dr. Evil Genius who recently asked me about why I don't talk about the issues with the right more often. Now, first of all, I do all of the time. I do religious stuff all the time, but I do definitely talk about leftism more than I talk about religion. And it's because of what Finn just said. Like, all right, y'all are religious and you have these beliefs. I get it. It's not changing every day. You had 2 genders yesterday. You had 3 kinds of gods yesterday, and you have 3 kinds of gods today. I know you're hungry, boy. Nothing yet. there's nothing new for me to report on.
They're like, you want to know what I think? The Bible tells you. Yeah, that's exactly.
Right.
But if you want to know what I think, read the Bible. That's how you know. And they're not trying to hide it.
And trust me, I've had that argument lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of times, and I will have it many, many times again. But there's nothing new there. I can't make a show out of being like, all right, well, we're gonna not believe in God again today. That would not be fun.
You know,
right.
Whereas the left is like the left, and again, they don't have liberal principles. So, and I'm going to get a little in the weeds here, but the left believes that power is the most important thing. They believe that the truth comes from power.
The truth comes from power. That is the overarching leftist idea. That might makes right. I was just listening to, I don't remember what it was, but some leftist talking about something, and they kept appealing to the fact that most people want this or most people feel this way, as if that makes it right. Most people, before Galileo, thought the Earth was the center of the universe, much less the solar system. So what are we talking about?
So if you are in charge, you get to use language to describe the world. And if you use the language to describe the world, you're literally making the world the way you want it to be.
What does that sound like? Something I talk about all the time. Semantic obfuscation. Listen to it again and tell me that that's not exactly what I talk about all
in charge, you get to use language to describe the world. And if you use the language to describe the world, you're literally making the world the way you want it to be. And that comes from the philosophy that started with like Rousseau and went through Hegel and went into Marx, and it got into the postmodernism stuff. I've spent a lot of time trying to learn about why the left thinks what the left thinks, and
you can tell when somebody has just the ability or merely the ability to just repeat talking points from their own side. It's very clear that, like, again, we're not going to get anywhere. Like, I already know what the platform is. Do you as an individual have anything to offer in a conversation? Do you as an individual have any ideas that I can contend with because they're somewhat new or fresh or unique in any way? Hey, we got Matt Barnes in the building. Welcome to the party. Says leftism emphasizes decentralization of power. Conservatism is about building and protecting hierarchies. I like that. Welcome to the party, Matt.
And by the way, they're correct, and they're really fucking good at it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's truth to all the stuff that they say. It's just there's truth to what they say. It's just that the dialectic is not good to fix anything. It can find problems, but it doesn't repair things. Like if you're
like raising awareness. Okay, I think we're all aware that these problems exist. I've been beaten over the head with it for my entire life. I'm good. We can stop raising awareness.
Yeah,
what are you going to do about it?
And that goes hand in hand with the type of conversation that is battling studies, where nobody, again, like I was saying before, that nobody has any original ideas. So they're just parroting, this study and that study, and that study says this. And trust me, I'm all about, the science, but, the actual science, the process of science, not the consensus that has been handed down from on high. I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, I mean, the talking is battling studies. That's what I was. And you get these types of debates on like lefty channels that they're not even talking to each other. They're literally just reading the study to an audience. Like, who's learning from that? Who is that helping?
So what's the solution? Give me more power. It's all it's all power.
Right.
It's all just give me more power. Well, there's racism. Okay, so what do we do about it? Give me more power.
Right.
Oh, there's sexism.
Like here in Seattle, we have a pretty significant homeless issue. And the answer is
what? In Seattle? A homeless problem? No.
Always give more money and power to the people who are basically incentivized to not solve the problem, because the worse the problem is, the more money and power they get.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you wonder why it keeps getting worse.
It's a problem that has plagued societies, regardless of whether you're a
This is brilliant. Harley says there are solutions to these problems, but nobody wants to solve the problem because then they'll have nothing to complain about. Where's the fun in that? What are you gonna do on TikTok? Just watch dances and stuff? What is this? Musically? What is this? 2019? Sorry, that was a bad joke, but you're on point, Harley.
ostensibly liberal society like
Any worse?
it's a problem that has plagued societies, regardless of whether you're a ostensibly liberal society like ours, or whether you have some kind of authoritarian society. That kind of corruption, which is what it is at its heart, that kind of corruption is a feature of government. And then the left will tell you,
Right.
oh, well, we're anarchists and we don't want government. And then as soon as they get in charge,
I'm an anarchist. Are you though? I don't think so.
they're just like, well, okay, time for the boot. Look at the Chaz. The Chaz was a like they were
Who remembers the Chaz? Oh, I almost forgot about it. The Summer of Love 2020, after following the George Floyd riots. I think it was Seattle, right? Where they just sanctioned off I don't know how many blocks it was. But and the what was it? The something autonomous zone. I don't remember. It took them like 2 weeks before they had their own cops, and then it was riddled with crime, and then it just fell apart. And I'm pretty sure like 35 people died.
They had a police force, their own internal police force in the Chaz, right quick, and they're handing out guns to 16-year-olds
with no accountability. No. With no nothing, any of the things that they, I suppose
ask for, pretend to stand for. Yep, we get it. Matt says, I think anybody that's being honest with themselves would agree that they'd rather have their problems, external or self-emanating, their problems solved rather than just complain about the problems. I don't know, man. I mean, I would love to believe this. But when you see how people get addicted to this cycle of victimization, victimizing themselves, and then creating problems for themselves, going online and crying about it, and then just repeating the cycle. There's no solving there. It's just, I've been aggrieved, or something isn't the way I like it, so I'm going to complain about it. And then tomorrow, same thing we do every night, Piggy.
Those rightfully ask of the police force, they quickly threw all that stuff out the window when it was their guys.
Yep. Uh-huh. Yeah, and that
shit was scary, man. You remember that? You've seen the photo, I'm sure, of that like burning cop car on the street from Seattle. That was the exact block where my wife caught the bus to work every day.
Oh, Harley says, here's a controversial take. If you want to remove majority of issues we're facing, get rid of currency. All currency or just fiat? What are you talking about? My Bitcoin's got to be worth something. I mean, if you'll buy it at what I bought it for, then we can get rid of it. But yeah, I mean, Are you talking about like going back to a bartering system now? How is that going to work with 300 million people?
And I was just like, I don't feel safe anymore. And Seattle is such a chill city. I've never.
Is it though?
Never felt that way before. And she's Vietnamese. And at the time there was a lot of, attacks on Asian people and stuff at the time. And just like, man, I don't feel safe here anymore. I've never felt that way in my life in America. In Seattle, I mean, maybe if I ended up in the wrong part of town at night or whatever, but I've never felt that way, just like going about my business. And I was like, it was legit.
Then stop voting for Democrats. Hey, we got the misanthropic altruist in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. And Holly says, get rid of all currency. All right, so then how do we trade stuff? How do we buy stuff? How do we get stuff? I'm here for it, but how do we do that?
Legitimately unsettling. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, and I mean, not for nothing, like this is less political philosophy or political ideology, but all the things that are going on now with with BRICS and with the petrodollar and stuff like that, that's real concerning, because those kind of things, like those kind of big changes internationally, can lead to significant changes in internally in countries. And
Definitely. So Harley says we don't trade or buy. Okay, well then you die. How do I get food? I'm not eating Morty. I'm sure I could. I'm sure there's like an apple tree around here somewhere. That ain't gonna do me very much good for very long.
if the United States doesn't have the amount of debt that we're carrying, if we're not the world's reserve currency, people think that it was backed by oil. It's not backed by oil. It's backed by nuclear weapons.
Yup.
Exactly.
And so what that means when we no longer have the facade of the dollar being backed by oil, like what happens? So you talk about things are weird with riots. Like if people don't have food, it'll be more than just, we're mad about a police, our police state in America.
So Harley's saying all human essentials are automated and provided. I mean, sounds fantastic, but seems like we're a little bit far away from that. So I don't know that getting rid, because you said you use the word, the phrase "get rid." To get rid of currency is different than we just evolve to a place where currency is not really needed anymore. I think those would go hand in hand. So if we had the capability to do this, you were the one talking about practicality. And now you're saying everything's provided and automated? What? Come on, girl. What is the timeline for this? What's the timeline?
Clown shit. So
yeah. Well, yes. Last question. Yeah, last question I have for you. Speaking of Alex Jones, like I mentioned at the beginning, somehow you ended up on a podcast, on Tim Pool's podcast with Alex Jones. Absolutely amazing, legendary moment.
Yeah. So remember, guys, if you're just joining, we went to the end here because I wanted to give you guys an idea of, since we usually talk politics, how they were, what their political talk was, and then we're gonna go back and there's still stuff there, but it's a lot more just cultural, and I think it's really interesting. But since we've never really gone down that road before, I wanted to ease you in. This Anthropic Ultra says the course is set. The next global dollar will be backed by identity/blockchain/centralized cryptocurrency. Yep. Attention itself will be a component to the new currency. That is a good call. I mean, it kind of already is. It's just not. Yeah, it kind of already is. But I mean, I think event like this looks like it's next. And then it looks like what Harley is saying is somewhere in the near distant future after that. The primary component will be data. Oh, yes, that is absolutely the case. That's why TikTok is such a big deal. That's why the regular social media platforms that's already a big deal with the American government having our information. But then when China has it, that is not good. Okay, so Harley says we do have the capability to do all this. A lot of this we actually do already. It's profit motives and power control is what holds us back. All right, so that's what I'm saying. What's the timeline? Give me some details. What are we talking about? Hey, we got Alex Pickus in the building. Welcome to the party. How are you doing, brother? We are just talking to Phil Labonte and Finn Mckenty.
You've been on Tim's show quite a bit, and I've followed him since probably 2016 or 15, back when he was like going to Sweden and stuff.
I didn't know that. I thought he was much more liberal in that, because that's the timing that I always use for whenever I talk to anybody about like, oh, how long have you been following Tim? And I always remember the no-go zones video where he was in Sweden, and I don't know who it was at that point, but they're saying, oh, there's nothing like that in Sweden. Everything's nice and whatever. And he went to the no-go zones and got that video, and he was like, nah, they're really here. And then he says, India banned TikTok a while back. Based. From what I know, they didn't put in any weird riders in their bill like the U.S. is trying to do. Well, it wouldn't be the U.S. if they didn't try to sneak things in on the bills, right?
Doing that kind of like journalist stuff back then. You also did a song with him recently. How did you guys end up linking up and kind of, working together as much as you have?
Twitter. Just follow. I watch his stuff, follow him on Twitter, and they invited me out to come down and be on one time, and I went down, and it was a cool experience. Everyone was nice, and they had me back maybe 6 months later or whatever. And then the third time that I was on, Tim hit me up, and he's like, "Oh, Alex is coming." He's like, "I need you to help me rein him in,
tame the beast."
And I said, "Oh, dude, I got you. I will be there."
I would do anything. I would do anything to have been in that room. But Splits brings up a good question. And before I talk about it, I'd love to hear what you guys think. So I just put up a poll. Should we ban TikTok? And let me know what you think. Har says, well, the timeline's a bit tricky to predict. Yes, it would be. Like I said, people don't want the solution. Fair. But let's say people did want the solution. You're saying we have the capability now. So we have the capability now. So how do we get people to want that? If they know that everything that they could ever want for is going to be provided for them, and they don't have to work because everything is automated, I'm pretty sure people would be on board with that. We just have to, it's just a matter of selling it. Is that's what's going to happen, and that can happen, and we can trust the people in power to make it happen. That's the tricky part. As soon as Alex goes, I'm just like, yeah. It was fun. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, it was just us, talking back and forth a little bit on Twitter, and then I'm in my apartment in West Virginia now because I'm kind of West Virginia. And he was streaming, and he's like, I'm thinking about doing this and doing a morning show, and I was listening, and I just sent him a super chat. I was like, I'll do it. He's like, really? And when he said really, I was, those super chats can get you a job. Just saying. We got no freedoms in the building. What is good? Welcome to the party, brother. Glad to see you. Like, oh, you're serious? I was like, actually, I don't really have any reason why I wouldn't or why I couldn't. We got 3 votes. Any more votes on the poll here? So I grabbed the dog and came down, and here it is. So.
Yeah, so you're like kind of a regular on the show, right?
Yeah, I'm down here. I work with them on music stuff that they're doing. I give do producer stuff, or basically my opinion, come up with ideas for vocals, or I'm going to work with Carter today. We're doing some vocals. Shout out to Carter. If you ever watch the Cass Castle vlogs, he's the music guy. He keeps to himself all the time, but. And then I'll give my opinion on the show and hang out and talk to, Congress people and stuff. That was kind of the thing for me. It's like I get to come down here and. So Harley says that's what we're working on: spreading the message, having conversations about it, bringing awareness, right? Working out potential problems and creating solutions. Okay, but this is the first I'm hearing of this, so you're not talking to me about it. I mean, where are we at? What's the first hurdle? What's the first hurdle? I want to use my platform to bring about this world. This is that if I could do that, hey, I'm doing humanity a favor. So talk to me. How do we do it? Actually ask questions of relevant people, and it's not, it's more than just, complaining on Twitter, which is, essentially that's what I've done for the past, since Twitter, right? Like since Twitter started, I've been on Twitter talking about politics, and I don't do politics on my Instagram, and I don't do it anywhere else. And I did that's, intentionally, because I don't want to.
Twitter's kind of the place for that.
Yeah. So we got 60% on the poll of should we ban TikTok? We got 60% yes and 40% no. I am going to go with the yes side. And as much as I do enjoy scrolling through TikTok, as much as I am amazed at how good they are at serving you exactly what you want to see, I don't know how they do it. They do it so much better than any of these other platforms. But it's got to be something with, the algorithms are just based on the information that you give them. And so the between just knowing that and then looking at the congressional hearing that the CEO went to,
and realizing that our government has no idea what kind of issues are even possible with this kind of thing. It's not good. Because even if it was something that like, okay, well, this could work, but we got to make sure China doesn't do that. The US government has no idea what that would even be. It's like, okay, we can just go, it's fine that China or TikTok has the information, but they can't go to the CCP. Like, okay, do you know how not likely that is? Do you know how unreasonable it is to think that there would be a company as big as TikTok coming out of China and the CCP has nothing to do with it? They got that, but is it on my Wi-Fi when I'm on the Wi-Fi? Yes, we should ban TikTok.
I want people that are interested in All That Remains to be able to be like, oh, I'm not getting his bullshit. When I'm looking at their Instagram page, I'm not listening to Phil's. It's like there's a.
And I think actually, what he's talking about is being, he's the singer of All That Remains, as we talked about, and he says that he keeps the politics to Twitter, where his, that's his personal Twitter, as opposed to using the platform of his band to talk about politics. Even though, I think he said that most of them kind of agree. There's one guy that's a little bit more of a MAGA guy in the band than he is. But people don't want that. And you also don't want that for your band. Whatever band, company, whatever it is. You don't want your brand to only be associated with one side. I mean, what's the famous Michael Jordan quote? Republicans buy sneakers too. The problem is that leftist ideology is forcing a social dynamic where the default is far left-wing ideology. And if you fall outside of that, you're automatically on the right wing. That's kind of where we started with with Phil, with the whole, hating centrists and regular liberals from the left, because they're the ones that allow the Nazis and the fascists to get away with whatever we do. So yes, definitely come to Discord later, and Harley's gonna tell us how all of our problems are gonna be solved. Freedom says we need I definitely think there should be some kind of barrier to entry. No pun intended. But oh man, it is it's tough. To be says to MA is attention is currency, absolutely, 100%. That's why everything tries to find a way to dominate your time, increase views, make you addicted to their content. Yep. Harley said, when I first heard about it, I was like, no way. As an American capitalist, that's impossible. That's what I'm saying. But my ears open. I'm listening. But as I learned more, I found out it's totally doable. All right. Typical no freedoms there. All right. Not a problem.
I'm not a huge fan of the idea of Nazis or communists listening to All That Remains. So I don't mind running those scumbags off. But otherwise, I don't want people that don't like Donald Trump to think that I'm going to be bummed out with them because they don't like Donald Trump. I don't give a shit. I don't like Donald Trump myself.
I said shit. Me too. But he does seem at least in the top 2, maybe top 3, for the best person for the office at this point.
Oh no, okay, he's funny, but anyways,
he's hilarious.
It's a clown world kind of funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it. It's just that's kind of been my hobby, political, social commentary, or just kind of being involved. It's always been something I'm interested in, and I think that recently I've realized that what I should have done was got into philosophy when I was younger. And philosophy, because
that's where I get most of my, I would say, just my general world perspective comes from learning about philosophy. That is the only way to make it in this world as an atheist, is to have a good background in philosophy. Because again, especially if you were brought up in the church, that is your philosophy. It's just, here, read what's in the book, and then swallow it whole. End of story. When you don't have that, then you might be more inclined, like when you don't have that at all, you might be more inclined to, kind of be looking out for stuff in general. But if you already have been told this is the right way, and then you're 21 years old, then you realize, that ain't for me. Then you have to have that background in philosophy. Otherwise, you get far leftism. Just the way it goes.
As I learned more about politics, I learned that really what I was interested in was philosophy, because the actual, like the policy of one administration compared to another
like
one,
how do you get this bill, and is this district going to go this way, and like all that shit? Who cares?
I don't give a crap about that. But what is a woman? That's an interesting question. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
And I remember I was talking, this was back in probably 2014, 2015. I was talking to the guys in the band.
Hey, we got Everett Does Stuff in the building. Welcome to the party, brother. How are you doing? We are just talking about punk rock and politics and stuff. Welcome to the party.
And I was like, yo, talking about trans
Glad to
people.
see you,
And
bro.
they were like, this is, I'm not going to say who said it. And this is a while ago, and we're dumb guys. And it's just like, one of the guys was like, dude, why are you so into trannies? I'm like, it's not that I'm into trannies. I'm like, they're asking.
But have you seen Blair White?
It was Bailey J. So like, I'm familiar with like.
Have you seen Nikita Dragon?
Bro, why do you know these? I'm not okay. Not even going there.
I don't know Nikita Dragon. No, I don't know. But I mean, even ContraPoints pulls it off, right? Like ContraPoints is like really, really, really like very passing, But I was like, look, this is important because it actually, makes a fundamental question. Like, what is it that we call a woman? And for me, like, I get the whole trans thing because like I explain it to people, and conservatives don't like it, but I feel like they understand when I say it like this. I'm like, look,
and again, listen to the nomenclature. That conservatives, you don't like it, but you try and you understand, and you're like, okay, what are they thinking? That doesn't happen on the other side. These far left people are just dead set in their dogma, in the same way that that nobody could convince you that God isn't or Jesus Christ isn't your Lord and Savior. You could never convince them that Joe Biden is worse than Trump. It's just not going to happen.
My dog is a female, right? There is nothing womanly about Django, right? But she's a female. So I get the whole gender as a social contract. I understand that. But then to say that it's not connected to biology, okay, well, you're stupid. You're a liar. You're ideologically motivated to say that gender's not in any way connected to biology. That's ridiculous. So
I try so hard not to touch the trans thing because it's such a third rail thing, but
yeah, I hate touching those trans things.
I have found that by not talking about it, there's like a lot of people who call me a transphobe, which is insane because I've actually always been very supportive of trans people.
Yep.
And I feel like trans people have been done dirty by the media.
He's about to, I'm going to back that up. But again, that's it playing out. This guy is, he's into his music. He listens to Tim Pool, but he's from Seattle and he's more of a liberal dude. But because he's not super in line and waving the flag for them, you get called a transphobe by just not saying anything. Not even saying, well, I just believe in two genders. No. Saying zero, nada, nothing. That's enough these days. So that's why I've stopped fighting the conservative title. I mean, if not being a far leftist makes me conservative, I mean, all right, okay, then I'm a conservative. I don't think I'm a conservative, but that doesn't really matter. What matters to me is the actual culture, the actual what's happening in society. Split says, doesn't matter if you support trans people. If you call out the media if you call out the media BS, you're a transphobe. Yeah, if you don't go exactly in line with what they want you to think, even their own. That's one of the most one of the most interesting things about watching Destiny stream, you guys know that I'm a fan of Destiny. I keep up with Destiny specifically because, like we said, we want to know what's going on over on that side of the world. And it's just crazy how careful they have to be talking amongst themselves. Like, they all know that they all voted for Biden and got jabbed and all of that stuff. They all would never dead name anybody or misgender somebody or all of that. But still, they have to tiptoe around every little thing. Because one mistake and your career is over.
Because I actually,
Oh yeah, so he was what was he saying?
which is insane because I've actually always been very supportive of trans people. And I feel like trans people have been done dirty by the media because I actually know a lot of trans people through, doing my content and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And all of the trans people I know are very cool, like chill people that just want to be who they are and be.
Yep. I was telling you guys about how when I was, before I was, with this private dog training company, I was working at Petco. And one of it was me and one other trainer. And it was a trans man, someone who was born as a chick. But he, and I have no problem saying he because it never, he looked like a dude. He acted like a dude. So whatever. We didn't talk about his transness. We didn't talk about his transition. We didn't talk about his politics. We talked about music. We talked about stuff that normal people talk about. And so that's what Finn is talking about right now, is what we talk about all the time, in separating the activists from the people who are just trying to live their lives. Ruining this is why we can't have nice things.
Be left alone. And the ones in the media are not stable people. And I think that it gives trans people a bad name because it makes people, I know that that's not representative of trans people because I know a lot of normal trans people, and everyone's like, oh, trans people are crazy because they see these talking heads in the media who are not stable people. And I think that sucks.
Dylan Mulvaney is so detrimental to trans people because he is a
caricature. He is a caricature of both what a trans woman is and what a woman is. And I mean, throw a gay dude in there as well. He's just a caricature. I would not be surprised in any way if you open that dude's face and it was like the scene from Men in Black, where it's just and there's like a little alien. It's like, wouldn't surprise me in the tiniest.
She is. I think Dylan is supposed to be a she. I don't even think that Dylan is actually trans. I think that Dylan is a social media star and has found a way to get attention on social media. And I think that is a big thing that's going on in the LGBTQ community, mostly in the TQ part of it. Politically, so there's a political aspect of sexuality that is covered under queer theory. If you are queer, you are politicizing sexuality as your formal way of understanding politics, and probably your formal way of understanding the world.
And you're probably not all there. Just based on the statistics, just based on the numbers. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
You can be lesbian, you can be gay, you can be bi, and you can be trans and not be interested in being queer. And I think that that's going to be a distinction that people are going to have to learn, and they're going to have to make that distinction, because the queer part is the political aspect of it. And the queer part is the part that parents have an objection being in schools, because it is politicizing sexuality, and it's doing it to young people. Now, maybe
just the tip. Genderqueer. These big nuts. Nick and Andrew. The Bluest Eye. 5 books that were found in children's books or children's libraries, or even the curriculum. There's one more that I'm forgetting. I always forget one, but I have that list off the top of my head, because people will say to this day that that's not happening. Google it. Genderqueer. Just the tip. These Big Nuts. Yes, that's a children's book. The Bluest Eye, and I think it's Nick and Andrew. I get no freedoms, but I definitely cannot put that up. Split says, I don't get it. Why is it we never see a regular person represent a people? I think I know what you mean. It's always the most extreme, goofy, wild looking and acting kind of people. I don't understand. Is there some kind of hidden narrative? Yes, sir, there is. Yes, sir, there is. I mean, on a more, not, not as conspiratorial. The fact is, if you're just a normal dude or a normal chick and you kind of just laid back, nobody's going to pay any attention to you. Remember what Misanthropic and 2B were saying, that attention is currency already. And so if you can't provide that and you can't keep people's attention, then you're worthless. And love him or hate him, Dylan Mulvaney is catching a lot of people's attention.
I don't want to get into what is happening where, but there's no debate that teenagers are being exposed to queer politics, right?
Yes.
And under the guise of there are teenagers that may be gay and lesbian or trans that need to understand this stuff. And I think that.
Yep. And it's D, like the name D, D-E-E apostrophe S. It's the nuts are D's. They're D's, big nuts. For children. 3 years old. Oh, the gay BCs. I forgot about the gay BCs. The gay BCs. Just the tip. Genderqueer, Nick and Andrew, D's Big Nuts, the Bluest Eye, and the gay BCs. All of those found in children's classrooms or libraries.
That is probably something.
I'm not joking, bro. I'm not joking. Google it.
That society's not going to be able to do. I think that it's probably going to have to be something that is going to have to be more personal. I don't think that that schools are going to be able to. I don't think that schools are responsible enough to teach those things to children without trying to politicize the children and the children.
Yeah. And we can already see that from libs at TikTok. Thank the heavens for libs at TikTok. What would be going on if we didn't have that window? And it's not like it's cherry picked because it's looking. I mean, it is cherry picked, but it's not doctored, is what I meant. It's not doctored or edited or made to be more sensationalized. That's the word I was looking for. It's not sensationalized. It's just taking what they are putting out to the world, what they are proud to put out the world, and just put it in front of us. You're like, hi, I'm Otherkin, and I think I'm an owl, so I identify, my pronouns are owl self, and whoo! Like, that is not normal.
And parents are going to have a legitimate objection to politicizing the sexuality of their children.
As they should. Like, teach my kid how to do math. I don't want anybody teaching my kid any kind of morals, whether I agree with them or not.
Yep.
There you go. Whether you agree with them or not, that is not your place, teachers. I know they always say that socialists don't have kids, they just have yours, but y'all are taking it too far. I know it's common for teachers to talk about their students and say, my kids. But they're not really, like, just in case you didn't know. Let's do this. If you're a teacher, all right, especially in grade school, the kids are there to learn from you. What they are there to learn is the stuff that will allow them to be successful and happy later in life. By presenting something where the demographic of these people, of what you are showing, has a self-deletion rate higher than any other demographic known to man, maybe, I'm not even saying let's get rid of it. I'm just saying maybe let's keep it for the adults. That's all, real quick, guys, I just want to ask you a favor. Over half of you who are watching are not subscribed. If you could just do me that favor really, really quick. It is so quick. It is free. It is easy, and it will make my day.
That's not your job. That's my job.
100%. And that's what a liberal society offers. Liberalism, people like the left likes to call liberalism an ideology, and it is not. It makes
anti-ideology.
Exactly. It makes room for ideology.
Exactly.
And allows you to live your life and allows you to find meaning in your life the best way that you know how, or the best way the way that you decide is best for you. But it does not make demands of you. Liberalism allows people to live their lives. And that's why I think that Americans, specifically Democrats, the Democrats that have been saying, oh, we just want to be nice, because the default Democrat is, I just want to vote so that way people get to live their lives. That's your average Democrat. That's what they thought they were voting for.
Yeah.
And
that's what they thought they were voting for. I was the they in 2016 when I cast that vote for that woman. That's what I thought I was voting for. Somebody who would keep the devil incarnate, the person who was going to make the world implode, from becoming president. And now I still don't like Trump. But what was I thinking? I was absolutely brainwashed.
Democrat Party has been infiltrated by leftists, actual leftists that don't believe in liberal ideas, like the freedom of speech, like the ability to own property and make decisions of and dispose of your property in a way that you see fit. Those things are things that the left totally rejects, and liberals in America need to be aware of this, and they need to push back against the liberals.
He's absolutely right. Liberals need to I think he's going to say leftists, but liberals need to fight back against leftists. If you're not a liberal, if you're not considered a liberal, you don't have any play with these people. I feel like I am, I guess we all feel like we're dead set in the middle, but I've got the atheism thing. I've got the conservative thing. I've got I like religious values. I'm trying, but I'm still too far to the right for a lot of these people. It's got to come from within, and there has to be a liberal civil war with words, liberalism, ideas, free speech, all of that stuff. And because it's not the majority of the left, split the country down the center, wherever it is, that the left half of the country is not these extreme leftists. They're not the trans activists. Like what Splits was saying, they are just the loudest ones getting all the attention. But in doing so, they are now imprinting on the younger generation the same way I was imprinted on. And no freedom says right there. All right.
I'm sorry. They need to push back against the authoritarians, and they're usually they call themselves progressives.
Ironically.
Well, yeah.
I will leave it at that. Hopefully, hopefully.
So I want to get you guys, a little bit more, just in tune with where these guys were. And we're gonna go back to the beginning, and they're gonna have a little bit more of cultural talk, but that is the background context for all that. So
yeah, I'll steer clear of that. Well, the reason that I wanted to talk to you is because I think maybe more than anyone else, you have been able to carve out a career in music despite being what I guess I would call a free thinker. Other people may have less charitable names for you.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
that's because you're a free thinker, or I'm a free
exactly.
Thinker. If you upset people, if you have ideas that challenge other people's preconceived notions, that upsets them. And if that upsets them, then they're going to most likely attack with an ad hominem. And to be honest with you, most likely they're going to talk about like I haven't put out anything good since the Fall of Ideals. Like that's 99% of my criticism is like, hey, the Fall of Ideals was great and everything else has sucked.
Fall of Ideals is one of the All That Remains albums.
Even though we're talking about something completely different, you know, or what inspired them to come at me is completely different, you know?
Yeah. And I guess, you know, it seems to me like it gets harder and harder every year to kind of have dissenting opinions, to the point where like I'm legitimately kind of surprised that All That Remains isn't like blackballed.
That's a good point. And he's absolutely right that the more power, like he you know, remember we're now at the beginning of the conversation. Remember, they get into the whole thing about truth is power. And it is surprising that his band hasn't been blackballed just for him being on Tim Pool's show. I would imagine that the metal scene, the hardcore metal, whatever scene, is going to be a bit more, I guess, a bit more leaning right than just your average individual. But, you know, oh no. Okay, I think I can put this out. Why do some trans women, No Freedom says, look better than some real woman? I mean, god damn. In addition, maybe we see 5 trans men that look good. Well, I'm not really, I'm not saying whether they look good or bad. I'm really interested in whether or not they're passing. And even there, I'm not even that you're okay. Whatever you say, brother. That's what I'm saying.
Well, the thing is, I think that I separate All That Remains from myself. Right? Like other people in All That Remains have historically not been, you know, have historically had their own opinions that were not in line with mine.
Again, if you're just joining us, this is Phil Labonte of All That Remains. We were just checking out the end of the conversation where they were talking more politics, and now we're just going back and they're still talking politics, but they get into a little bit more of the intersection between music and all that stuff. Hey, y'all do whatever you want. Holly said the metal scene I find is pretty mixed. So even if some disagree with him, majority don't really care. Yeah. Whoa. I got moved. All right. I mean, yeah, that's definitely like if I didn't know that Blair White was trans, I would likely not ever think twice about that. But also, I don't ever randomly just think about like, is that a man? It's only when it pops out and you see somebody with a full beard and a dress on like Jeffrey Marsh. That's the only time I think about it. Or when you're trying to sexualize children.
It's not like the band is a political band. I don't get on. The only political statements I've ever made from stage is I wore a Ron Paul shirt back in 2012, and I made comments about legalizing marijuana in Colorado when they first did it. And that's it. That's the only political statements I've ever made in the All That Remains context. There are a couple songs that get into political themes, but they're not overtly political. And most of the stuff that people know us for is more of our love songs, honestly. You know, people even when people know us because of Six is a love song. You know, so
see, I wish I would love YouTube to be able to just play that song, you know, just 30 seconds of it just to show you guys, but you know, I can't do that.
Well, that's easier said than done though, because, you know, for better or for worse, you know, the front man is kind of synonymous with a band 99% of the time. So, you know, you can say, well, this is just my opinion. I don't represent the band, but it's pretty hard to actually pull that off. And I think that you have really kind of been able to do that, which is amazing.
Well, I appreciate that, and I try.
And really quick, before we go any further, have you checked out my Patreon? Patrons get conformity packaged as non-conform genre. Description of this video, and I appreciate your support. The part that's sad,
I appreciate your support, Finn. Thank you for letting us use your video. If you would like to see the unfettered conversation, the link is in the bio. I'm getting better with that.
To me, I guess, is just that I feel like in music now, at least in our genre, but probably everywhere, it's sort of like conformity packaged as non-conformity. Like you're allowed to be a rebel and a free thinker as long as you rebel and think freely in exactly the same way as me and my friends. And if you disagree with us, you're a horrible person.
Yeah.
I mean, that's spot on. That's spot on. I mean, talking about Tim Pool, he always will bring up the time that he went to the skate park and some younger kids had BLM stickers that they were slapping on the ramps. Now, in the old days, in my day, when we were skating and tagging something up, whether it was I was never spray paint tagger, but with just everything that you bought, whether it was shoes or a skateboard or the trucks, or everything came with stickers. So wherever you go, you just slap your stickers. But these were all like small family owned for the most, or not family owned necessarily, but certainly not like huge corporate things. And now it's like, so you're taking BLM as a skateboarder and plastering the same message that Walmart and MSNBC and Fox News, well, no, okay, not Fox News, but MSNBC and Walmart. You're not anti-establishment, bro.
Yeah, that when you get to more authoritarian and totalitarian ideologies,
there you go,
which exist on both the right and the left, they get very, very exclusionary and very, very they police their own ranks very, very, very well. I mean, to be honest with you, I've dealt with that, or I think that I've been cognizant of that all of my life, because when I was growing up, and I come from New England. Metalcore scene was popping off when I was in bands, and I was one of the guys that was in that.
You want to have my friends at I can't. All right. Well, if anybody's seen the Boston Beatdown, put a one in the chat. If I don't see no ones, you guys are all posers.
Starting that stuff off, and I was in Shadows Fall, and I was playing guitar with guys in Killswitch Engage before Killswitch Engage was Killswitch Engage. So like I was there, and there was a lot of left-leaning militant bands. I remember, Earth Crisis. I've gone to see Earth Crisis, and I just re-looked at Firestorm recently.
No, I would not categorize them as left-leaning, to be fair.
Really, with the vegan. See, to me, the straight edge.
So this is really kind of where we're branching out, but I really want you guys to see this, and I'm curious to see how this lands with all you guys. So the landscape, in the music scenes, the politics of that scene are very different than the politics that are going on. And you used to have that. You used to have scenes where it was their own thing, and American politics or international geopolitics were just not part of that. That doesn't really exist anymore. Now everything is politicized. But you would have these values that one would be on a spectrum, and being vegan and being straight edge were two of the biggest ones. And I was straight edge because I was a loser and I wasn't allowed to go out late, and so I was never going to drink or do drugs anyway. So I was like, well, I like the music. I may as well fit in and be like, yeah, I'm taking this pledge. If you're in Discord, you've seen my drug-free hoodie that I bought. I still wear it around the house, but I did not buy it ironically, even though I drink every show and smoke after every one. But yeah, that's the lens through which I want you to see this conversation that they're having. So the politics of the scene are not going to be directly related to Democrat, Republican, but they will mirror the tribalist left-right thing that we see. Before we go there, Misanthropic Altruist says, softening graffiti with for hire or artistic pretense takes away from the core spirit of the art. I agree with you. I don't necessarily believe in vandalism as art. It's just, when I was young, I didn't really care because I didn't really have anything. But property rights are kind of a big deal to me now. But I understand that, there definitely at least was, I don't know about it anymore, but there was a robust community that would use tagging as and graffiti as a real expression. But I just most of the time now it's just like gang tags and stuff. Harley says, I can't be a poser if I never claimed to be punk to begin with. All right, fair enough. MA goes on to say, these scenes are no longer anti-establishment. They speak lies with power. They do not speak truth to power. That is a bar, ladies and gentlemen. That is a bar.
Edge vegan.
So yeah, let's back this up a tiny
or recently.
So Earth Crisis and Firestorm, both very big vegan straight edge hardcore bands, where that was the same way that we had the age in the 2000s where everyone was a Christian band. Like that was their thing. In the same way Phil was just talking about with All That Remains, like they might talk about political stuff, but they were never overtly political. A lot of these bands were overtly, again, not political in the sense of like, if you take a look at the band Anti-Flag, they were a political band in the sense that they were singing and talking about politics in the world. But the Earth Crisis and Firestorm type bands, they are singing about their values. One of them being straight edge and the other being vegan.
I would not categorize them as left leaning, to be fair.
Really? With the vegan, see, to me, the straight edge vegan, the political stuff that they
but a lot of those bands were also pro-life.
Were they? I did not know that.
Yeah,
okay,
like Abnegation had that song everyone hated with the chorus is like a fetus is a life.
Oh, okay. No,
there was a lot of pro-life stuff in the
I imagine
the straight edge scene.
Snapcase was probably like a pro-life. I imagine if there wasn't, the Krishna bands were definitely pro-life stuff. But even still, that wasn't from a religious perspective. None of them were Christians, and none of them were what you would consider a traditionalist. So maybe they would make a pro-life argument. And to be honest with you, I think that there is a pro-life argument to be made from the left that you don't hear in the United States very much, but I do believe that there is a pro-life argument from
a pro-life argument from the left. Real quick, he says Riker scene was absolute garbage. Sonic feminism. Boo, boo. But so the left-wing pro-life argument. Let's hear it.
What would you say that argument is? Because I have one.
Okay.
Oh, we got two. All right. So who do you think's left-wing pro-life argument is going to be better? Phil or Finn?
So there is no God, and Nietzsche was right. God is dead. There is no God. We have to make our own morality. If you only have one life, why is it acceptable to take a life when you only have one? There is no afterlife, and you don't even let it get a chance. If life is worth anything, maybe you can have a nihilistic perspective and say, well, life doesn't matter at all. Because everything, we're going to end, the universe is going to end in the heat death anyways. And there is nothing after death and blah, blah, blah. Fine.
No.
I think every previously religious atheist goes through a nihilistic phase. Like, well, nothing matters. I don't even care. And a lot of them get stuck there. But when you realize that nothing matters in the sense that nobody has designated my life to be this, that, or the other, it's super freeing. It's super freeing. I've always wanted to be a good person, but now I'm not held to these rules. Now I can start finding ways to be that good person from sources other than a book that's thousands and thousands and thousands of years old that's been translated and translated and translated and translated and threw out some books and added some. I have more than that. That is a world that, when religious people talk to me about, believing in something bigger than yourself, I'm like, well, you have to believe in something you're bigger than yourself. I do. It's just not a guy called God. The myopic view so many Christians have is frustrating because you can see it. You can see the dogma on the left, and you can see how it seeps into their brain and disconnects whatever the port for logic is. It just doesn't get in there. The same thing goes for religion. Just because most of religion seems to be better than most of leftism doesn't mean the underlying problems with both aren't exactly the same. I know. I'm sorry. Misanthropic Ultra says the left-wing argument. Stop promoting porridge, as we call it on this channel, to marginalized people. It's weird and harks back to eugenics. The Jesus Cat is a very, very special. We should be writing books about him and following him around. But yeah, I think that's where they're gonna go. I think that's where they're gonna go. I did listen to it. I just don't really remember.
Nothing means anything.
Yes, nothing means anything. But if nothing means anything, then I don't think anyone really needs to take your opinion seriously.
Yup.
Right.
I mean, you're there.
If nothing matters, surely your opinion is not the only thing. If nothing matters, your opinion is absolutely included.
There's a fatal flaw in the total nihilistic perspective anyways. It's like, well, nothing means anything. Well, if nothing means anything to you, then everyone else gets to say, we don't give a shit what you think because stuff means stuff to us.
And especially to the atheists, we have chosen what means stuff to us. And fair enough, if you're religious and you have your things that have been passed down from the dogma and that fulfills you, great. I'm not trying to hate on everybody, but I'm just saying to focus on the power of philosophy as he was talking about before, which was later in the conversation, but before on this stream, and just dogma is bad, guys. Dogma is bad.
And we'll just put a bullet in your head because you don't matter to yourself. So why not? Because again, if you're going to take morality out of it, and nothing means nothing, then you living is equal to you being dead. So people that do say that they believe in something have every right to say, well, they don't believe in anything. It's moral by their own moral code to end their life because they're a threat to my way of life. So those kind of morality questions and stuff. When it comes to nihilism gets. I mean, it's real. It gets real dark real fast. It's kind of like one of the most obvious statements you can say, but people don't think about when people make the joke like, haha, nothing means anything. Nothing. Like I made a shirt that said everything is stupid and nothing matters. And I sold them on my website because it's ironic. It's kind of fun. I don't really believe it.
Dogma is the worst thing that exists in our human consciousness. There is nothing worse than dogmatic thinking. There is nothing worse.
But if you believe nothing matters,
okay,
then all bets are off. There is no morality then, and that's the same kind of that's why you end up with authoritarians and totalitarians just slaughtering millions and millions of people. So
haram.
Well, I wonder how we got here, because getting to your point about the metalcore scene or hardcore scene and stuff back in the day, people always butted heads about that stuff, which is totally fine. Like
I was always worried about getting beat up because I was a smoker. I was a small kid.
Well, yeah.
I'm like a small kid. I'm like, I'm going to see.
So this is kind of I wasn't as this is what I was talking about when they're talking about the dynamics. This is the leftists going after this small kid.
Earth crisis, and I'm hoping that I can get from my car to Pearl Street and back without some vegan militant dude that's got got to prove to his buddies that he's more vegan militant straight edge than his friends and kicks the crap out of the little guy smoking a Marlboro,
And that was the brother. Oh, okay. Let's take a little detour. Let's see what we can get with this. Oh wow, they have the whole thing here. Okay. Well, let's just do the trailer. Boston Beatdown. Let's see.
Hardcore isn't something you can learn by reading a book or sitting in a classroom. It's not something you can teach your friends or parents who don't know what it is. Hardcore is a way of life. Hardcore is our way of life.
No matter what the odds, no matter what it takes, no matter what the fuck the consequences are, there were no consequences.
It was like maybe 60 Nazi skins on 20 of us, and we beat the shit out of them. You know what? Well, there's maybe 10 of you, and there's fucking 200 of us. Stand up for what you believe in. Go after these kids and fuck them up. Kick them out. Tell them to get the fuck out.
It's normal. It is so weak. Without stuff like that. Oh wait. Oh, that music. I think this is gonna get claimed. All right, well, let's just play it without the music. But I mean, you got the feel, and yeah, I mean, this is all is it the whole thing? All right, let's skip through the actual video because they oh, they're not letting me see it. There we go. Let's see. They would just crowd around your car. They would do anything. This was a documentary type deal that kids in the same exact scene that Phil came from. Like, he's from Boston. This is called the Boston Beatdown. And yeah, this is exactly what he's talking about. He's like, I just want to get to my car without getting beat up by one of these straight edge kids. There you go. There it is. Now you know.
Well, that's what I was worried about.
Especially in that like New England scene back then. That was it was the Wild West.
When Earth Crisis jumped on the scene and it was, or not Earth, I'm sorry, not Earth Crisis. When Hatebreed jumped on the scene and they were not a straight edge hardcore band, I was like, thank God. Thank God they're a good hardcore band with cool dudes that don't hate me just because I'm a metal guy that smokes cigarettes. You know, Jamie's like booking my band and I'm like, I'm so glad you guys are like normal dudes.
Yeah. Well, so what is your kind of relationship with hardcore? Because
before they move on, I mean, like, I had my own, I guess, I don't even know what. Oh, I remember what kicked it off. So I was in love with this girl in 8th grade, right? And she wasn't really into me. I was not like a nerdy kid because I was into that scene. But I was geeky. I was quiet. I was, a little beta. And, so nothing really happened, but, I got a little older. And then when I was 16, I got in there. And she was also 16, so nothing weird there. And like 3, 5, 6 months or something later, she starts dating the biggest dude in the scene, the biggest, angriest, most likely to fight dude in the scene. Now, we had been friends. Yep. Hurrah! Unfortunately. Hey, at least I learned my ways. But so yeah, like months later, she starts going out with this guy, and he is gigantic, like at least 6'4". And I mean, he wasn't super jacked, but you got a foot on me. And we would just go to shows, and he would, we had the type of mosh pits where it's not like, like if you go to like Metallica or something, it's just going to be a push pit. Everybody's just kind of either the push pit or people are going to be, in a circle pit where everybody just kind of just marching around. In the underground hardcore scene, you would have more of quote unquote dancing. Where you do your windmills and throw your elbows like that, and you do spin kicks and stuff like that. And it worked because people would give you the space to do that. But if they wanted to start a fight, all they had to do is, oops, I kicked you. And this dude would just always find me. And I don't know how he was so gigantic. I don't know how he would hide, but I would just get like, bam, right in the back of the head. Or, I'd be talking to my friend and just like, oh, right to my stomach or something. And he just nonstop every weekend. Talk about simping. It's because I with this girl months before you were even together, bro. So, Phil, I feel you, brother.
A lot of people, I think, maybe forget how much hardcore and that early metalcore scene kind of went hand in hand, like Killswitch and Overcast and Shadows Fall, and like all those bands came up in the hardcore. God Forbid, Lamb of God, all came from the hardcore scene. And I think that's been kind of lost now. What is your connection to all that?
So I was really into, like, I was a metal kid, right from the beginning. I was in death metal, and Iron Maiden is what got me my start. Like, there are dudes that get into, they got their older brother showed them punk bands, and that was kind of their thing. And that's what
I was just gonna say. There's two different pipelines where you come to get to the hardcore, where either you start with metal and you kind of find your way down to the more I don't know, I had it in my head, but either you come from metal or you come from punk. and punk is kind of a little bit softer than hardcore. It sounded better in my head. Sorry.
It gets them into hardcore and into metalcore. And my journey into metalcore, or my journey into the music scene, was through metal. So it was Poison, Def Leppard when I was a youngster, to Iron Maiden when I was early teens, Metallica when I was 13, 14, and then 16, 17, it was death metal and Carcass and Entombed and Grave and Cannibal Corpse, Suffocation. Like all that stuff is how I got into it. And so when we heard At the Gates in New England, when we heard At the Gates and Slaughter the Soul came around, and I saw At the Gates, it was me and John Donate, and there was and Matt Pichon from Shadows Fall, and there was 20 people at the show. It was it's in Northampton, right, and it's in the 90s, and metal's basically dead. And the only reason these bands could come to the US is, first of all, a lot of Swedish and not just Swedish, but a lot of European bands Scandinavian bands had state support. So they're exporting their culture, so they would get paid to be in a band because they're making Swedish metal or whatever.
For anybody who didn't know, that was I didn't know that until recently, that the reason that we saw so many Scandinavian bands on the scene was because they were specifically they were kind of like the boy bands of the country. Like Sweden was a big one, Norway was another one, and there you go. And there was a huge presence from Scandinavian metal. Like it was its own kind of genre. But I didn't know that that's why they got big, because the government was like, Americans, take this. And we were like, word.
And so they would come over, and most of the shows would kind of be bunk, but then you'd have played bigger shows in big cities, and they were okay. So it was worth their time. So I remember seeing those shows, and we were all listening to the same kind of stuff, but you'd have people like Scott Lee putting, you'd have At the Gates, and he would put Hatebreed on the show, or Earth Crisis, or local hardcore bands. And for all of us, it was really normal, especially in Western Mass, because as much as I talk about straight edge bands and stuff, that was not the predominant thing in Western Mass. There was areas in Boston, and there was some in New York and stuff, and some bands from New York, but in Western Mass, all of us were really, really, really cool. All the guys that were
not according to that video we just watched, but that's not what the Jersey scene was like at all. Why does this not surprise me at all, No Freedoms? I was just gonna say that as soon as it pops up. I was just gonna say that. How do you hate music? That's like saying you hate food. I hate Oxygen.
We're in Shadows Fall and Killswitch and Flatline, Mike Martin's old band, and the guys in Unearth and stuff. We were all really tight, and there was none of that drama at all.
Tight.
It was so awesome because everybody just felt like everybody wanted to be friends. And then, if hardcore bands or whatever straight edge bands came into town, it was people that came into town from out of town that were not super cool, because it's Northampton, Massachusetts. It's where Smith College is. It's where it's where Amherst College is, and it was as progressive as you got in the 90s.
As this poll is going to get very heated, I have strong opinions, so choose wisely.
Right, that was the area. So it was.
Oh no, you broke it, guys! Come on.
It was super cool and awesome to be around, and so like I said, for me, it was from metal.
I'll do whatever I damn well please. I might just snarl at you for a moment if I feel like it. You in my house.
But we were playing the same shows with a lot of those bands. We would go to see Snapcase and Earth Crisis and Hatebreed or Machine Head with
Come on. See, No Freedom.
Whoever's on tour, and it was a very normal thing. It wasn't something that we had to think a lot about. It was just like, oh, I like that. Oh, cool. I like that too. And we just kind of put that stuff together in the stuff that we wrote.
I thought it was cool that back then you could go see,
guys, come on.
You could go to a show and you could see a vegan straight edge band with a ska band and a death metal band, and whatever, some random local pop punk band. And it was wild, and maybe a Krishna band or something, wildly different in terms of music, wildly different in terms of ideologies. People could like bitterly disagree and still be on the same bill together.
Yeah.
And I feel like
that's where all the fights came from, because you would have one band that's like the Earth Crisis and Firestorm, where they're all about, what's good. And then you could have, a literal like Nazi punk band on the same show. And these are small, these aren't like, I was going to say Starland Ballroom, but no, I'm from Jersey. So, but it's not these big, venues. These are basement shows, maybe at the VA. Maybe they rented out the VA, but bad things happened.
That's totally gone. I mean, you think about like someone like Pete Steele, or let alone SOD.
Oh man.
I just, how did we get to this place where this like groupthink is so strong?
I have ideas.
I would like to hear them.
As would I, if this will friggin'.
So it's partially a phenomena of social media. People can, as much as we don't realize it, people really, the whole bubble, people live in a bubble and stuff like that. People can really self-segregate on the internet very easily.
Fine, guys,
and
leave it on.
to an extreme degree.
We're all chilling, we're all hanging out.
So there's that. And I also think that that we have moved away from liberalism. I think that the far left and the far left.
Explain what you mean by liberalism, because I know you don't mean Bernie Sanders.
Yes, I mean liberal principles, the ideas that the United States was founded on, right? The idea that the individual is sovereign above the government, right? So the government, that the law applies to the government.
That's good, guys. Well, everybody's good. Everybody's in bounds. Don't worry about it. We're all good. We're all good.
Just like it does to the individual. That
I would still like a tie-breaking vote on this poll, please, so we can talk about it.
Property rights are a vital part of liberty, and property rights are extremely important to a successful society, because without property rights, people stop doing things. People stop being productive.
Without property rights, people stop doing things. Without property rights, people don't have a reason to do anything. Now, before we were talking about, property rights in relation to graffiti. That's a pretty low level, aggrievement against that property. But in general, just generally speaking, the summer of love, where all you heard from leftists were, well, they've got insurance, not even really knowing that most of those people were either not covered by insurance or got like $10,000, and that wasn't enough to even clear up the rubble from their burned down businesses. A lot of people don't know that. We're all joking, guys.
So as much as people on the far left, and that's one of the defining things I think about the far left. If you're on the left, the international understanding of the left, you do not believe that people have.
Bro, come on, no freedoms. Why you gotta take it there? I just said we're all cool, we're all having fun. I mean, you gotta be saying some weird shit. Come on, bro.
Property rights.
Right.
Marx believed that communism was the abolition of private property. That does not work in a society. You can have a mixed economy. You can have social programs, people that are, and I'm not trying to use this as a derogatory term, it's descriptive. People that are ignorant of of the way that the governments of Europe
leave it,
work.
please, guys, stop asking why explanations. We either do it or we don't. We're done. Please.
Think that they are socialist and that you don't have property rights, or they think that they think, oh, I want to be a communist, or again, I'm using the term literally, ignorant people that listen to bread tubers. They think that I'm a communist because I want health care paid for by the government. That is not a communist. That is definitely not a communist. A liberal society believes that you have the right to own property, that the individual comes above the government, that the government exists in order to do things to protect the rights of the population, not to provide services to the population. There are only certain rights that exist. You do not have the right to someone else's labor. That means you cannot have a right to healthcare. You can demand your government provide that.
Hold on, give me a second. You cannot demand somebody else's labor. Why is this not opening? Hold on. Okay, hold on. All right. Good? No? Good? Yes?
Service. Okay. But you cannot have a right to it, because to have a right to it means that you are demanding that someone else labor on your behalf to provide that service to you. You cannot and that is a type of slavery. It's saying I'm taking your money or taking your time, taking your property in order to provide myself with a thing or service or whatever. So these things matter when it comes to a liberal society versus an authoritarian society. We have a very heavy authoritarian influence in society today. It's not.
How did music become? How did alternative music become authoritarian? It is so bizarre to me.
I do not know. I aside from the social media aspect, like I mentioned earlier, people still have a desire to find their tribe.
So, what did I miss here? Misanthropic Ultra said, do you have the right to my money that is ineffectively used to subsidize everyone's healthcare, including unhealthy people? Nope.
People want to be nice, right? And
I definitely agree, Harley. But again, how are we getting there? That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is
conservative or liberal values tend to be more realistic, and realistic's not always nice, right? Like
realistic is not always nice. Liberalism is the antithesis of reality at this point, at least. And reality is not always nice.
Right.
The real world is not a nice place. You can tell because really bad things happen in the real world. Sometimes things that sound good don't work. The idea, so like people talk about homelessness. Well, you can't just give people houses as much as there are people that believe that the reason
I wish it was that easy.
Wouldn't it be great? You just have a house. But oh
my God.
Thing is, to own a house, you must be prepared to take care of a house.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't take care of a house, you should not own a house, because you're just going to, it's just going to fall apart. Bad things are going to happen. People get hurt, injuries.
Imagine if you gave the 18-year-old version of you or me a house. Like,
I mean,
it'd be smoking ruins in a week.
I'd be dead. I mean, sincerely, I was a moron well into my 30s, arguably into my 40s.
Same here.
But like, so yes, you people that, and I like to use this example because it's something that I feel like people can understand. You can say, I want this for someone, but that person has to agree that they want it. And not just say they.
I mean, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You can lead. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Agree, because you have to go by people's actions. A homeless person that's got a heroin addiction, right? Like they say, yes, I want to live in a house. Cool. Are you going to stop doing heroin? Fuck no. Well, then you don't want to live in a house, because it's
that simple. It's that simple. And so that's why I'm in the same thing where, Harley's talking about all this stuff. I mean, it sounds nice. It sounds real nice. But is it realistic?
the prerequisites of living in a house is not doing heroin because you got to go to work. You have to pay your bills.
What?
Like, so if you're deciding I'm not going to stop doing the drug that's got, that's destroyed my life, not saying it's easy. And again, this is one of the things about, liberal principles. You have to allow people to fail. You have to allow people to hurt themselves. You have to allow people to do things that are bad for them. And so, I would love it if we could have a house for everybody, but it doesn't mean that everyone can take care of a house.
Nope.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I wish it was easy as just throwing money at all these things, but it doesn't seem to.
I mean, lay out your argument, sir. I'm here to listen. How is it more complicated than if you can't maintain a house, you can't get a house? Seems pretty simple to me.
That doesn't seem to actually be effective, and maybe I'm just becoming an old man now, but it just seems like the place we're at now is people just don't want to face reality and do difficult things. They want someone to swoop in and save them and do it for them. I mean, that sounds great to me too, but that just doesn't really work. It seems like people just don't want to do hard things.
I think that
it really does come down to that. People don't want to do hard things. Now, nobody loves doing things that are difficult. It's about what you earn when you do difficult things. That seems to be something that is lost on certainly my generation, and millennials. We're too far gone. I'm hoping that Gen Z can come out of this, but half of them are, between all the Rona lockdown stuff and the queer theory stuff. I don't know. So I'm looking at Generation Alpha. Hopefully they look at Gen Z and millennials and are like, nope, we are not doing it that way. We are fixing this up. Did I miss anything here? Yeah, Misanthropic said you can bring a commie to water, but you can't keep them from poisoning it. And No Freedoms does make a good point. Better than a capitalist pouring chemicals into the water than selling it to children. Just like it is simple for women to close their legs to stop porrages. Now that is simple. People don't want to work until they die for nothing. So what is more complicated about homelessness than this? People don't want to do hard things. Hardcore smash hit coming out this month.
Has been a devaluing of the importance of doing hard things, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So
we all know the fourth turning. We all know it. Say it with me. Good times make weak men. Weak men make bad times. Bad times make good men or strong men.
Doing things that suck with other people and going through a sucky situation with people, it does create bonds. That's one of the things.
I'll say on the side, that is also the only way you really know who somebody is through going something traumatic. You know, that word's so thrown around, but going through some shit with that person. Specifically in a scenario where they could be selfish or could screw you over and choose not to, you don't know who people are. You just don't know. Artificial inflation of what? 2B says people absolutely do love to do difficult things.
What?
Things may be difficult at first, but challenges overcome make for the most valuable experiences. I mean, I completely agree. The people who know that like doing difficult things because they want the valuable experiences. The problem is that no, most people don't want to do those difficult things regardless of what comes with it.
Things that you learn about in the military. When you all go through the suck, you do something, it's like, it sucks and you hate it. But when you get through it, you've conquered that together. And doing hard things builds character. So one thing that I'm really, really, really vocal and and make a stink about is body positivity. I understand there are people that end up in situations where they can't exercise or they have health conditions, and that is true and real. That does not change the fact that as a society, it is detrimental to your overall society to tell people it is acceptable to allow your body to fall apart.
Yep.
That is not acceptable. That is not something that society should do. That is not a perspective that society should encourage. Now, you can be like, so I'm like a really libertarian kind of dude. I don't want to tell people what to do. And I definitely don't want to pass laws that mean the cops go to someone's house and make them do some shit, right? Like, I don't want laws.
So you're not going to come for their Snickers bar.
I'm not coming for your Snickers. I'm not coming.
Exactly. Again, I definitely agree with you that the people who are willing to put themselves out there get those experiences. But I'm with MA. Like, most people aren't like that. Maybe you have people around you. Yeah, I mean, nobody's arguing with you. We're just saying most people don't know that or do that. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't disagree with you. When a large amount of your citizens are homeless and can't afford basic things, you know that your country has failed. Let's fix homelessness by giving them a dumb education and a job that barely pays rent. First of all, what are you talking about? Nobody is. Who is giving? I don't really know where you're coming from. But again, I'm not disagreeing with you that the fact that homelessness is a problem is a problem. I'm just saying, just putting homeless people in empty homes is not the answer. As Phil just talked about, part of the requirement for having a home is the ability to keep a home. And if you're a heroin addict, or if you have some type of mental illness that you can't, you don't have the skills to do that. Maybe that's ableist, but whatever. These are just hard truths.
I mean, for anybody doing anything, but just because we as a society are going to say, hey, we should be free to do these things or do whatever basically we want with our lives, because I do believe you have one life, it's yours. And for other people to try to tell you how you have to do it, and for other people to force you to try to force you to live a certain way is wrong. Other people,
I love that he corrected himself, because wanting to push your ideals on people is not inherently bad. That's what I'm doing right now, is pushing my beliefs onto you. But I'm not trying to force my beliefs on you. And you guys are doing the same. You're trying to push your beliefs on me, which is good. But you're not trying to force me to live a certain way. And there's a big difference. And there's a lot of people who do want to force you to live their way. And they will, for some reason, stop at nothing to get it. So you want a homeless person to get a job with no house or unable to get any paperwork. Yeah, I remember saying that.
People should tell you, encourage you, hey, that's not good, that kind of stuff. That's fine. Even.
Oh, come on. See, no freedoms. Every time you say something, you break the whole thing. What is happening? My button's not working. Let's see if we can go 23:15. Struggle streaming. Awesome. Two that won't play. Yay. All right, guys. I guess that's the end of the show. I don't know what's happening here. All right, here's what. Let's try this. I think you can. I think you could share from here, right? That'll be dope. All right, give me. Let's see if we can. We gonna man. All right, we getting feedback? No. All right. So let's see. Can I share from? Oh, that's Discord. I'm not going anywhere though. I'm not really sure what to do. I just restarted the computer. So, I mean, the rest of the internet's working. I don't know what to do. Come on. We're in this together, guys. One day. One day. I mean, I might have to. I might have to. Oh. All right.
Face reality and do difficult things. They
All right, let's okay. So that was back.
want someone to swoop in and save them and do it for
All right, we're
them.
back.
I mean, that sounds great to me too, but that just doesn't really work. It seems like people just don't want to do hard things.
I think that there has been a devaluing of the importance of doing hard things, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So doing things that suck with other people and going through a sucky situation with people, it does create bonds. That's one of the things that you learn about in the military. When you all go through the suck, you do something, it's like, it sucks and you hate it. But when you get through it, you've conquered that together. And doing hard things builds character. So one thing that I'm really
Come on.
vocal and make a stink about is body positivity. I understand there are people that end up in situations where they can't exercise or they have health conditions, and that is true and real. That does not change the fact that as a society, it is detrimental to your overall society to tell people it is acceptable to allow your body to fall apart. That is not acceptable. That is not something that society should do. That is not a perspective that society should encourage. Now, you can be like, so I'm like a really libertarian kind of dude. I don't want to tell people what to do. And I definitely don't want to pass laws that mean the cops go to someone's house and make them do some shit, right? Like, I don't want laws.
So you're not going to come for their Snickers bar.
Okay,
I'm not coming for your Snickers. You know, I'm not coming for anybody doing anything. But just because we as a society are going to say, hey, we should be free to do these things or do whatever basically we want with our lives, because I do believe you have one life, it's yours. Yes. And for other people to try to tell you how you have to do it, and for other people to force you to try to force you to live a certain way is wrong. Other people,
you see how he changed his intonation there, and he was going to say who want you to, and then change it to force you to. That is the
people should tell you, encourage you, hey, that's not good, that kind of stuff. That's fine. Even if you want to have some people that are like tough love and stuff, fine. I mean, that's normal. But as a society, I do think it's bad that we act like Lizzo is healthy. That's bad. Right. I think that we should not be encouraging that. And this is probably
you don't think that promoting Lizzo as a healthy person is a good idea? Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I can continue. I'm not sure if I can continue with this hateful. What's the phobic word? Fatphobic. You got it. You get it.
Get me in trouble. Maybe we should be like, oh, you want to be like maybe like production companies and companies that.
It's not a lechism. Maybe. Don't I say that a lot? He stole my shit.
You know, management companies and stuff should be like, oh, you want to be a famous person? Your path to fame and fortune leads directly through the gym. Directly through the gym. Get in shape, because if we're going to put you out in public, you should be a good role model. If you look.
And that's something that used to be lived up to, at least on the surface. There was at least a facade. They were at least pretending Not anymore.
Like there's a lot of people talking about TikTok, right? If you look at the Chinese
Yeah.
TikTok, they are teaching kids stuff. They are all virtue, all good, blah blah blah.
I'm assuming you guys are familiar with that, right? How the TikTok algorithm in China, where it's from, is very, very different from here. You guys know that already, right?
You look at our TikTok and
They
it's
turn the slider the
it's
opposite
just
direction.
debauchery and OnlyFans models and
Yep.
you know, it's like it is just as hedonistic and as it gets. And I'm okay. I am not a prude. I'm okay with sex workers and all that stuff. Like, go get your bag. But we as a society,
I'm with that.
should be like, that's not ideal.
Yep.
That's not.
This is what is called social enforcement. This is you know, the term enforced monogamy was going around because of Jordan Peterson a few years ago. And people who were dumb thought that what he was saying was that we would the government would enforce that you have to be married and you have to be, you know, whatever. But all that enforced monogamy means is that socially we enforce, like Phil is talking about right now, that it is a good thing both for yourself and for society to not be in multiple relationships, to just find one person and to go with that. That doesn't mean we want the government to come in and make it so. But it seems like the liberal platform, not even just the far leftist, but everything that is left of center, is, well, everything that can be done has to be done. And if the government doesn't abide by it, or if the government doesn't allow it, then they're fascists. Like, really? That's all you got?
Because you look at the successful OnlyFans creators, it's similar to successful bands, you know, back in the day. It's
really
so when All That Remains was starting out, I didn't think that we were going to be a successful band because I was playing death metal. I thought I was going to do it on the weekends. And
there was no path to success at that time playing this kind of music.
100%. There was no path there. It's like nowadays, it's like you can see how you could get to a point where you'd be a big entertainer and stuff. I had no plan on being in a band. I thought that I was going to work in the mall in retail, and I was going to be doing this on the side.
So to be says, let's try teachers. How about people that work in emergency services, critical care unit workers, mental health caregivers, military service workers, community volunteers, so many people. What did I miss? Okay. I don't know what you guys are talking about. All right. Harley says, I'm fine with sex work as long as it stays in its place. Exactly. It should not be in schools. It's, you know, something that should be for the what? Oh, okay. I got you. So they're talking about me. Yeah, agreed. And it has nothing to do with LGBT anything. No, it is about children not being exposed to things that are not appropriate for children. That's it.
And as things progress and as time progressed and things changed and the internet became normalized and the underground completely evaporated, don't let anyone tell you that the underground exists anymore, because it doesn't. Just because you listen to extreme music, you are not in the underground. Okay, I'm sorry to break it to you guys. You're not in the underground.
Nope.
You're not. It's
a different world. There's nothing. Nothing is obscure anymore.
Are you being serious? I don't think you are.
No, there is no
anything. You know, it's not, and that's fine. I'm not being the old guy telling people, oh, it was different. But it was like you had to work really hard. Like for me, there's certain like demos that I had to look for years.
Yeah.
You know. Like I was trying to track down a copy of some 7-inch for like 4 fucking years.
Oh,
like I'm too young for this. By CDs were readily available by the time I was like really into music. And then Napster was there by the time I was 14 or earlier than that. Yeah, like 12 or 13. It was already P2P sharing. So I guess luckily, maybe unlucky, missed that part of music where you physically had to go find the music. I think that the connection that you have, like Chibi was talking about, when you have to go through something difficult, when you get whatever you are searching for, it's that much sweeter.
That's yeah, like seriously, like look, if you were a vinyl collector, there was so much cool stuff because bands would do like, oh, we'll do a double 7-inch or whatever, where like one band on one side, another band. Oh, those are so cool. And yes, it was hard to find. And there was like eBay wasn't everywhere, if it's 93 or 94, 95, like the internet's just barely in your house at that time, so yeah.
And then people like Jamie Josta, who people may not know this about Jamie, but he was one of the first people to bring metal into hardcore when that was like really not common at all. And he had like a distro. He would show up with his boxes and boxes of CDs, and like that's where I
missed a real question. Just what was the question? Just copy and paste.
Bought the first Cryptopsy CD, which at the time was extremely hard to find. I think I paid like $19 for it or something like that, which was like a fortune back then. But I was happy to do it because it was like impossible to find, and that just doesn't exist anymore. Anything you want is at your fingertips, and that's not a bad thing.
I'm going to not say that out loud.
But it's a different world.
Yeah, man, Cryptopsy, what a band. Are they still playing? I haven't checked out any of their stuff. They still go.
Yeah, they still sound great too. They have like
wait, I didn't skip that. I just thought you were joking. You really don't know what a sex worker is? You really don't know what a sex worker is? Like, you work on OnlyFans, you're a prostitute or a hooker or a stripper or any of those things where you work, and the work you do has to do with sex. Hey, Harley Rose, the new sponsor of the stream. Morty already knows he's getting a good one. Thank you. That is right. Every single super chat comes with a treat for my co-host Morty. Thank you very much.
Somewhat different lineup, but still sounds awesome. Like they're still doing it.
Yeah, that's sick. I saw some videos of or some video someone put up of Suffocation the other day, and Terrence is just shredding. I'm just like, it's so cool that these bands are still going. That like
have you heard their live album?
They're so good. They're so
holy fucking shit.
They're just
how ridiculous. Does a band sound that good live?
Pro Tools.
No, they sound better live than they do on their recordings.
They're ridiculous. I mean, well, they've been playing at that level for 30 years, dude. Like the record that came out that really turned me on to Suffocation was like Pierced from Within. Like that one came out and I was like, yes, like
do you guys see now?
Love it, like every once in a while.
Do you guys see now? I wanted to check the end of the podcast before we got into this stuff, because I wanted you guys to have an idea of who we're talking about, because I don't even know a lot of these bands. They're kind of just reminiscing about the scene and stuff, but they obviously move on from that. But I'm smart. I'm smart for doing that.
Oh, I'll put it on. I could probably still play the riff from Eulogy. I think it's Eulogy They've Forgotten. Anyways, but like, yeah, like
you can listen to their demo from like '89 when they were probably like 17 or something.
Yeah,
they had it even back then.
I remember seeing. I remember.
Sorry, I honestly thought. I honestly thought you were joking, because that's such a common phrase. Sex worker. People say that all the time. Well, if you didn't know, now you know.
Talking to Matt Bashan, he saw them at the Milwaukee Metal Fest, and they played the riff, dun, 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 and he's like, dude, it was the craziest pit I'd ever seen, because back then that was like the heaviest thing ever, in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it was awesome. So it's so cool. So, anyways, but yeah, it's not the same. The underground is definitely different, and I think that's good for the quality of music. I don't think that without the internet, you'd have people. Well, the internet and computers, you wouldn't have people that play like Tosin or Tosin Abasi from Animals as Leaders, like Jason Richardson. Obviously, our guitar player Jason is
monster.
Oh man, dude.
So
Like,
I mean, from here, the angle is to kind of see, now that you see where they are politically, how they're talking about the scene is interesting, as far as the type of people that think a certain way are going to carry that thought into other areas. And when you can remove your ideology from, politics, it's a lot easier. It's a lot, less heated. It's not as politicized. I don't know. Excuse me. Misanthropic Ultra says, I don't recognize any modern genres, scenes, counterculture movements to be organic, authentic, or groundbreaking in any way. Completely agreed. Completely agreed. There's nothing. There is nothing. Everything that used to be like cool or edgy or underground or any of these things, they're still there. They've just been co-opted by the left wing. Everything that was cool now has to be rainbow, and it has to be politically correct, or it doesn't exist. And that's completely the antithesis of being counterculture, being anti-establishment. These kids have no idea. They're like, yeah, F the man, BLM.
What?
Morons.
He's something
Unreal.
else. He's something else. He's something else. Like we were.
This misanthropic altruist hits on a point of why I wanted to bring you to this channel in the first place, because this is something that Finn talks about nonstop. So it's disturbing millennials and Gen Z Zoomers have not developed their own thing that rivals rock, blues, hip hop, punk, etc. And so that's not necessarily true. It's just it's not underground. There's a lot going on in relatively underground like pop rock, and then underground on like the rap rock side, and now new metal's coming up, and there's a lot. Definitely check out, he's tagged in the title, Punk Rock MBA. Check out his channel, MA. You would definitely enjoy it.
Doing some stuff for Sweetwater. He's something else. Like we were doing some stuff for Sweetwater on the just last year, and he played this sufficiently impossible run, and he missed one note. Right, one note. And I'm sitting there talking, and the reason I remember this is I was talking to someone else as we go. We're talking about Jason while he's playing it, and I was like, he's gonna want to do that again. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, he had one note, and by missing, I mean it just didn't sing properly. Right, it was kind of there, but he's had his finger on the fret.
It just wasn't perfect.
Exactly, it didn't sing, and as soon as the guy.
Did that make sense to you guys? If you're not musicians. Because that's kind of important to the point that I'm going to make when he's done with this. So if you don't know what that means, then let me know.
The didn't sing properly, right? It was kind of there, but he's had his finger on the fret.
It just wasn't perfect.
Exactly. It didn't sing, and as soon as the guy in the control room, as soon as he got done, he hits the button. He was like, Jason, what do you think? And Jason goes, I can do it better. He's like, okay, does it, plays it perfectly, where every note is perfect. And then I'm like, this will be fine. And the guy goes, hits the button. He's like, what do you think? And Jason's like, yeah, that's good. I'm like, yeah. I mean, because it.
So what he's talking about is when they're in the studio recording. So if you don't know, when you record music, most bands in the world are not going to record live or record as a band. You record each part separately. You put it in the computer, you line it all up so it sounds perfect for the album. That's why you got to see them live is such a thing, because depending on how much producing is done, then the live show might not represent or what's the word I'm looking for? It might not sound like the album or the demo or whatever it is. We just got done talking about how people don't want to do difficult things. And here now they are talking about the respect of somebody who is, I would say a little bit of a perfectionist in this area. Based on what they're saying, but the care that goes into their work. This is the kind of thing that I'm talking about that translates to the rest of life. And so having the right ideas for a baseline will launch you into a much more happy and fulfilled life than thinking that, you know, you're so oppressed and the world's against you and the systematic this and that. It's not to say that, you know, some of those things might not exist. Maybe some of them do and some of them not so much. And it doesn't matter. You can still be the best that you can be. I'm looking forward to that.
Jason plays things right. And when I say right, I mean
perfect,
in time and with sufficient feeling and with the right attack. And he's fingering the notes properly. And he does it all the time. Every single time every single pick stroke is perfect. Every time he fingers a note, it is mind-boggling. It is robotic. And I've been a musician for 30 years. I've been in bands with some phenomenal players. I mean, I've played a whole tour with Killswitch Engage. And
so again, that reverence for just being good at something, doing something right, putting the work in. That is something that, we should have in all areas of our life. To Be's Gotta Run. Thank you so much for stopping by. You have a fantastic night. Hopefully, we will see you over in the after party in Discord, which is free, guys. Don't forget. Oh, my button.
Adam D and Joel are both great players, right? Like, I know what good players sound like.
Engage.
And Jason Richardson is shockingly good. With the first time
on a purely technical level, he is one of the absolute best of all time, no
100%,
question.
100%. When we did a tour with Born of Osiris when Jason was in Born of Osiris, I think it was like 2011 or whatever. That was the first time we met him. And Ollie came up to us and he's like, "You have got to see this." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "This kid is 17 years old." And and Ollie was like, "He's better than I will ever be." And he is 17. He's like, "I've been playing for 30 years. The kid makes me so depressed." We all go and check him out. We're like, "Oh, well, I guess he really is. That's the real deal. There's no exaggeration."
And again, there's no jealousy. There's no, haha, we got 5. We got 5. Yes. Pineapple does go on pizza. There's a reason there is such a thing called Hawaiian pizza. Anyway, we're going to get into that for sure in Discord. But again, the same reverence they have for, things that are nice, understanding that comes with the difficulty that we were talking about, that going through the time of not being that good, and you are messing up notes here and there. To get to be perfect like that, you have to put in a lot of work. And so many people just want to be there without having to put in the work. And so, that is precisely what he meant when he said people don't want to do tough things. That is not at all. We got Arturo Reacts in the building. Welcome to the party. They are indeed talking about Jason Richardson. We've got Phil Labonte of All That Remains with the Punk Rock MBA, and they focusing more on the political aspects, but definitely getting into all the grooves as well. Welcome to the party.
So that obviously started their friendship. Ollie and Jason became buddies, and because Jason obviously is a big All That Remains fan from our early stuff, and
so funny how
the stuff he was listening to when he got into metals.
He goes from super loud, and then I'll just be like talking like this, and he's like, remember when he was like Alex Jones? He was like, yeah, and I mean, obviously he's a metal singer, so
right.
And it's crazy to play with a dude like that, though.
Yeah, it's amazing now to see just how fucking good everybody is. Like a random 16-year-old on TikTok is better than 99% of people in national bands were in the 90s.
Yeah. One of the things, so I play guitar and I'm better now than I've ever been. Like, not kidding around. Like, I practice, and one of the things that I found is when I was growing up, and this is late 80s is when I got my first guitar. So and in the 90s when I was playing, we didn't have good tabs. We didn't have 100 websites that had tabs that were.
So here, let's do this. For those of you who don't know, guitar tabs are a way to see how music is played without having to what is going on? Well, I guess the video wouldn't be playing either. Without having to actually read music. It'll just tell you, like, it has all the strings, which I'm trying to show you. You can see that obviously a guitar has 6 strings, and so it will just it kind of puts it on its side. I am waiting. What is going on? Let's try this again. Oh Jesus! Is the video going to play now?
Really, really good, and we didn't have.
Oh my goodness! Indie film in the house. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Said let's kick the week off with a woof woof. That is right. Every single super chat comes with a treat for my co-host Morty, aka Jesus Cat. All right, I just got a thing there. Let me. Thank you so much, brother. I really, really do appreciate you. Let me fix this banner here.
There was an Eagles song this month in Guitar World, and he just made the most of it.
Exactly. It's like if you could get a music book for a band, most of the time they were poorly put together. A lot of times they didn't have tabs; they only had music.
That's what I'm about
so you had to read music to be able to do it. And I can read music like a 6-year-old can read, like sound it out. I can figure, okay, that's a B, that's, really, really poorly reading music. So yeah, we couldn't. And so computers and the internet have really made it. I think DAWs, digital audio workspace.
So a DAW would be like Logic or Reason, one of the programs that once you're recording, you put the raw audio files in, and you can mix them around, you can move it around, stuff like that. That's how they get the perfection of the album.
Faces, I think they really have been a thing, because that's really made it so that way you can slow things down and you can get really, really specific on your technique and really get really specific on your playing and stuff. And
being able to hear yourself, like that's when I started recording.
So Misanthropic Ultra says better technically, sure. Original and innovative, nope. It's all a shred fest. Arturo Reacts said this should be interesting, man. I was a huge fan of All That Remains growing up. This calling is one of the best. Oh, this calling is one of the best songs I've ever heard. Nice, man. I don't. I'm terrible with the song names. Like when I grew up in the age of CDs, so I just know number 9 on this album and stuff. But yeah, definitely. Definitely. What's the word? Like they formulated they opened a door. That was like, oh, all right. I didn't know that. Like that kind of in between metal hardcore thing could really sound like that, and it's pretty dope. And I mean, I don't really listen to them like that anymore. But definitely when I discovered it, it was like
myself. It was humbling because I thought I was much better at guitar than I actually am. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty good. And then I tried recording myself, doubled, and I was like,
it's not opening.
Oh, that's not good.
It's so humbling.
And now this is just kids, and kids now grow up.
Oh shit!
If you're 16 years old playing guitar now, you think that like your bass line is like super edited guitars that have every note quantized to perfection and blah blah blah, and that's just what people think guitar sounds like now, and so that's their bass line, and they just start going from there. And that's, I think, a big part of why they're so fucking good.
It sucks.
All right. Well, this, I have no idea why this tab, no pun intended, is not working. But I literally can't open anything. It won't, everything else is doing fine, but I don't know. So I'll show you some tabs when I can, but just know that it makes it a lot easier to learn how to play songs. So they're saying, you get lucky, you might have an Eagles song in the back of one of the guitar books or a magazine or something. In those days, you had to learn how to read music, And then if you did know how to read music, then you'd have to spend all day like, okay, what note is that? And then, I mean, unless you obviously were fluent, but I'm saying if you read music like just barely. With tabs, it's you put this finger on this each little box they call a fret, like each, the lines that go down the thing here. So the top one would be the first fret, second fret, so, and it'll tell you which string, and the chords would be like, okay, I need this finger here, and that finger there, without needing to know anything about reading actual music. That's what they meant.
Is not only that's what people think guitar sounds like, the best players out there, that's exactly what guitar sounds like.
Yes.
So you have this super lofty goal to aim for, right? Like if you are trying to play perfectly, right? You didn't have that kind of conceptualization of, or at least I didn't when I was growing up in the 90s and playing guitar and stuff. I didn't have that conceptualization of super clean, super precise. What to me sounded like super clean and super precise.
Oh man, I have some recordings that I thought were awesome at the time. They were recorded on a digital, like a digital voice recorder. It's about the size of my phone, and I would just, I didn't have a pop socket obviously, but I just hit record and I would play stuff, and I thought it was awesome. And then I'd listen back to it, and I'd be like, oh man, it's humbling. So when he's saying better, I think he's saying, what you're saying, that the because of the DAWs, because of the digital workstations, audio workstations, then the baseline is that this can be done. The best the best that we'd all agree, but technically and original and innovative, that is out there. I know that now, and they're talking about, like, I didn't know that even existed. Anything else here? Better tech, lots of free time, but where is the soul in modern music? Only to be found in the dungeons under the underground. Dramatic, melodramatic. The talent out there isn't rewarded. Only the technically skilled and marketable are rewarded. Yep. And don't forget about the political stuff that you've got to put on top of that now. I mean, it was always that the best bands nobody knew about. That's always been the case. But now there's another barrier to entry that if you don't fall in line with the woke agenda, you're definitely not getting rewarded.
I go back and I listen to it now and I'm like, oh my God, they weren't even playing to a metronome, were they? Now I'm just like, I can't even believe it. Like if you go back and you listen to like Fear Factory records, and when Fear Factory came out, it was like, whoa, it's machine.
Yeah.
Everything's perfect. Listen how tight that is and da-da-da. And you go back and listen now and you're like, oh no, that was not
probably
machine.
Swinging 5 or 10 BPM through that song.
Yeah. Human beings, actual human beings. And nobody wants to sound like human beings. No one in the metal world, at least, wants to sound like human beings anymore. So
anymore, exactly. That's what we saw. What we're talking about. The difference between what is good and what is technically good, I guess, is a good way to put it. That they're talking about the technicality, the musicality or whatever. That's specifically what they're talking about.
Yeah, which is a whole other.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, you can think that's good or bad, but that's a whole other thing. Do you know Alex Rudinger?
I know the name.
He's played drums in a million bands. He was in The Faceless and I don't know, a million. He's played in a million bands, and he's probably 25 or something like that. And so he's one of these people
you ever heard of him?
Maybe he's a little bit older, but whatever. He came up sort of in this new era, and a friend of mine recorded him a few years ago and sent me the drums. He's like, "Oh, I just recorded Rudy. What do you think?" And I was like, "It sounds a little bit over edited to me." And he's like, "This is raw. I didn't edit anything." I was like, oh my God.
Yes.
That is awesome. That, I think, MA, I think we could agree that is awesome. In this day and age, if you send something over to somebody and they're like, maybe you did too much production. And you're like, bro, that's just a raw file. That is talent. Because at the end of the day, there is a lot of pleasantness to listening to super technical guitar playing for at least people like myself. I'm sure you're the same way. Even if you would prefer that there was a little more oomph, a little more soul in it, it's still cool that you could do that. So when you can put those together, and you have the soul and you have the technicality, don't get much better than that. Arturo said, yeah, that's the bad part about metal right now. You can't have conservative beliefs or you get shamed and annihilated. Yep, it's not just metal, it is the entire world. Santha Altruist says, yes, that is awesome. And remote jam sessions with people across the world, very cool. We could definitely do that. I'm trying to think, what would be the best way to do that? Because I feel like there's sometimes in Discord we get a delay. And I mean, it doesn't really matter when we're talking, but when we grooving, we got to groove. We're going to be on beat. You know what I mean?
It doesn't surprise me either. Luke Holland, the guy that plays in, he plays with Jason in his solo stuff, and he plays with Ronnie
Falling in Reverse.
There you go, Falling in Reverse. Yeah, he's another guy, just like
Jason and Luke are fucking inhuman. Like the two of them together, it's like fucking cyborgs from the future that literally nobody would have thought that was possible when we were kids.
When they send each other text messages, it's literally just zeros and ones. They just
So the zeros and ones is the tabs thing that for whatever reason, everything here is working, but I can't open any other tabs. Arturo says, Alex is amazing. I think the musicians we have in today's era are amazing. They're only getting better and better. The bar is being raised higher than ever before. I think music is only getting better. Oh, come on. There's a little delay. Delay. I was in college before I even knew what this word was. And desperately trying. I love the gent sound. Just, the rhythmic kind of, I don't know if you guys would know, but like the chugging, like diggin. It's almost like electronic music in the rhythm, but they're using guitars and all the stuff that I grew up with. And I just didn't know that gent was a word. And so I'm hanging out with one of my friends, I want to say like 2016, 2017, somewhere in that area. And, just talking about music with one of my metal friends. And I was trying to describe it. And like, something that's like kind of what I just did, like, dun. And he was like, oh, like that genty stuff. And I was like, what? What did you say? What? He's like, yeah, gent. Like gent. I was like, mind blown. That's a thing? Oh my God. I've been looking for that word forever. I didn't even know that I was looking for it. And I was looking for it. And I found it. Thank you so much. Archer says, I love gent, man. I'll admit, everyone is using the hell out of it. Facts. But it just makes people have to use it smarter and more unique. Very well said. When it comes to music, there are two ways to impress me. You can either do something, you can either color inside the lines in a way that nobody else has done before, or you can go so far outside the lines that nobody's ever seen before. Now, if you're just doing some like deedly whatever, and it sounds technical, like Misanthropic is complaining about, like, yeah, it's cool that you can do that, but I'm not going to choose to groove out to you. They're like, the melody to me comes above everything else. But yeah, when you can find that sound that it's like your head is a dartboard, and that sound just comes and bullseye. No better feeling.
I found the zeros and ones in the text message, and they see it and they're like, oh, okay, it's just all binary code. They don't actually even speak English.
I think it's fucking super cool to see that. Like, on the one hand, it makes me feel like a dinosaur because I'm like, man, I have been left in the dust. Yep. But I think that's cool. I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, I like it too. I have spent a lot of time the past couple of years really kind of practicing like sweeps and stuff like that, and
I could never get
solos and
sweep.
stuff. I've never been
I could never get sweeps. The sweep, that type of shit. I had good fingering, but I just couldn't get there. The what are they? There's the harmonic sweep. No, there's something else. Arturo, help me out. You know what I'm talking about. What am I? What's the word I'm looking for? It's been so long. I've been so out of the music scene for so long.
Solo guitar player, and I've never been able to play solos and stuff. I think that now I probably could, and that's one of the things that I'm like, I want to be able to do that before I die. So, like, the internet and all the resources that are out there, like, it makes it so much easier for people, and it makes being a really good guitar player so much more attainable.
Pinch
right?
harmonics. That's what I was saying. Okay, so that's something different. But that pinch harmonics, the sweeps and pinch harmonics, those are what I could never do. See, I knew you'd be there. I knew you'd be there. You found the right place, brother. Hit that subscribe and never ever miss another party ever again. Yes, thank you. So Arturo also says John Brown of Monument says the consumer will always hear and fall in love with the melody before the rhythm. Oh, I just got chills, baby. I just got chills. Yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Even when I listen to electronic music, like straight up just techno, and there's still a melodic aspect to that. And that's exactly what I mean by coloring in the lines. I don't know, Arturo, if you listen to any electronic music. But yeah, it's tough. But techno is a very rhythmic type of electronic music. It's just that straight up, just that. Basically, that's it. But there's ways, and it's very percussive. I mean, a lot of drum parts, and so there'll be ways that they use, like, metal will be like this tom and that tom, and just adding melody to an already very rhythmic style of music, which again, gent is very similar. It's just awesome.
Everyone has a certain limitation by talent. I think there's kind of a ceiling for most people. But man,
everybody go.
The tools at your disposal nowadays really, really allow you to reach your potential, and they make it a lot more fun getting there.
So, like you were talking about earlier, you were really one of the earliest OGs to, what people went on to call metalcore, although that wasn't a word at the beginning.
Yeah.
And the new wave of American heavy metal, whatever you want to call it. You were very early to all of that.
Yeah.
Which then kind of got supplanted by all the Rise records, crabcore bands and stuff. And then that got supplanted.
Arthur, how do you feel about the crabcore style bands? I'll tell you what I think after.
By all the gent stuff. But I feel like people are kind of really, really ready for that, like 2000s metalcore kind of sound to come back. And as somebody who helped start that, what do you think? Like, do you feel like there's a revival of that around the corner?
I think so. I'm doing a little shameless self plug here, but Richardson's we got some new stuff that's, oh boy, y'all ain't ready.
Okay.
And I heard it's what I heard when he sent me the song is a fresh approach on the stuff that I was doing 15, 20, 25 years ago, right? Like, it's taking all the good stuff from that and he's just really just, made it if it's like if Jason Richardson was writing metalcore.
Me too. I said, shit. Me too. It wasn't my favorite. And it definitely was like one level closer to mainstream than I felt I was. Like I was that was at the time where, like, if I thought your band was a loser band or a poser band, I wouldn't even listen to it. So I just would not listen to Asking Alexandria for so long. But the jogging Bob. Oh man. Yeah, that was because I was getting right out of the you know my I was getting into my later teens when that started to come around, and so I was starting to be the old man trying to gatekeep, like, oh no, I know what real metalcore is, and yeah.
You know, it's
Which
like
is really interesting to me because that is such a different, like just fundamentally different style than what he does. So that's really intriguing to me.
It is. And you do hear the technical, obviously he's a very technical player and you hear him. But you hear him writing All That Remains, right? It's like it's All That Remains filtered through Jason Richardson. And then obviously it's my voice. So it's you know, it's me, you know, and I think that because of the fact that, you know, I'm the only guy that's been in All That Remains from the very beginning, like, and I'm the voice and stuff. I think that whatever, basically almost whatever I sing on, it's going to sound like All That Remains to some degree.
I was going to say, anything I sing on is going to sound really good. I would have been mad at it.
Especially if you take into account like Madness. Madness had so much weird shit on it that, like, you know, it's like now it's like, well, it's not that far off from some of the other weird stuff they've done. So yeah, I think that it if it is, that's an exciting thing for me because we're in a position to really capitalize on that. We got the best guitar player in the world.
Yeah.
And you know, I can yell and jump around some. So I've been known to.
I just think people are. I hear.
If you're new, welcome to the party. I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. We are partiers here, so make sure you subscribe so you never miss a party.
The way people talk about that stuff, and I see when there are these bands like Dying Wish, there's some of these younger bands that are kind of bringing that sound back, and I see the way people react to it. You know, when they get one of those classic At the Gates type riffs, people just lose their shit. And like Gent and stuff was cool, but I think people are ready for like songs to come back.
Yes.
I don't think that. Yes, I do. Well, first of all, I think you're completely right about songs. I don't think that song. I can't say.
That's actually, now that I think about it, now that I hear him say that, that is precisely what got me away from metal in general, but guitar music in general, is the fact that people stopped writing songs. People stopped, you know, just exactly what we were talking about earlier, and with the real underground, or you know, people wanting to do hard work. Everybody was looking for the easy way to get popular, to get, you know, friends on MySpace and that kind of thing. And it just, I don't know. I completely forgot what I was going to say. What did he just say?
Well, first of all, I think you're completely right about songs. I don't think
right. So everything just became super technical, and it was like, okay, who can go harder? Who can go faster? Who can do more deedly? And the idea of the song, the whole, you know, what Arturo was saying with John Brown, this just kind of fell by the wayside. And so I kind of, you know, this was the time when I was just going to college. So I wasn't really, you know, I had my metal friends, but also I had my drinking friends, and we would go out and listen to, you know, just top 40, whatever. And of course, after being a metalhead, I could never listen to top 40 music. So I was like, all right, I got to find something. And I had a little, you know, a little brush with hip hop, and not really for me. You know, I loved Lil Wayne for a few years. I mean, I still love Lil Wayne, but you know, it's and then I got, you know, that's when I discovered MDMA and subsequently electronic music, and it was the melody of the electronic music that brought me in. And I would say, as big of a metal fan and metalcore, punk, hardcore, whatever you want to call it, as big of a fan as I was in high school, in college, and post-college, I was just as big of an electronic music fan, even though for so long, every metalhead was like, that's not music, they're not even playing guitars. And I would hate on it. But the melodies, sometimes, and of course, you know, the crap that you heard on the radio was top 40 bullshit. But in the same, that if you went digging in 2005, you could find some metal gems. Same thing, and you know, by 2010 or so, that was not the case anymore. But that still existed in electronic music. Arturo says music, though. There's been a lot of great music coming out this year already, and we just got started. Periphery, Sleep Token, Invent, and Animate. Sorry, all dropped or are dropping amazing albums. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not in that space anymore. And I wish I had somebody who would be like, yo, check this out. Yo, check this out. But especially with any kind of rock, my taste is so specific that like when people try to show me stuff, I've either heard it before or I don't like it. And so it's just tough to find those things. Partly because there's nothing that good anymore, but yeah, I just, Joe says I took a 7-year break from metal, but in 2018 I picked up the guitar again, and I've been finding some amazing works of art out there, but there's no real mainstream for them, so you have to seek them out. Well, maybe I will have to do that, and you will be the reason. You should join the Discord. The link is in the bio there, or if one of the mods is here wants to drop the link. After the show, we go right over there into the voice channel, and we can play music. We can talk about whatever we want without having to worry about the the YouTube censors and all that good stuff. It is definitely a good time, and after every show, we head in there, but it's open 24/7. So come on through if you're not already there. Thank you, Split.
I think that song. I can't say that I know that songs went away, but I can say that I think that songs are always a good route. So like you talked about like the progress of music, so through metalcore and blah, blah, blah. I think one of the reasons why we have managed to survive as a band and really go through what are some lean times for metalcore bands is because, we were writing songs trying to focus on the song. Yep. We weren't writing songs around breakdowns. We weren't, and that was one of the things, and that was one of the things that I think too many bands in the aughts did.
That might be partly my fault. Partly me and all my friends loved just breakdown, two-step, breakdown, two-step, breakdown, two-step. Like, there you go. Bury your dead. That's all we needed. Throwdown. That's all you need. You don't need a song. That works at a show. And for a while, it works at home, too. You're like, oh, that sounds a little bit different. But especially over time, when you lose the ear you once had, it really all does just start to sound the same.
They realized that if they had a cool chorus and a breakdown, that was basically a song.
Movie quote.
That people would get. I mean, arguably, that's what Parkway Drive is, right? Like they breakdowns with cool choruses, and more power to them. But when a band makes that their formula, other bands like they're not going to have the success with it, So you got to do something else. And I think that,
and it's even like I've even specific before gent was really in my vocabulary. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted is just isolate that and play it over and over and over and over and over again. In fact, I'm at that same voice recorder. I would record breakdowns, and I would even play it on this guitar. I mean, you can't really see the size because it's a little bit back there. But that is a half-size guitar that I got when I was 5 years old. 5 years old. And still my favorite guitar. But I just use that, and I would just record it. And I would just listen to that. Listen to my own acoustic chugging. I was like, why can't they make music like this? And then my friend's like, yo, it's called gent. I was like, oh, okay.
That we always tried to write good songs. Like when we released 2 Weeks, it was nerve-wracking, but we knew it was a good song. We didn't know it was going to be as well received as it was. I was worried about the fact that there was singing all the way through. I thought people were going to really, really reject it.
It has been 4 years. Unless I'm mistaken, it's been 4 years, maybe 5 years since you did put out new music.
Yeah,
you have been playing shows, but you do have plans for new music for anybody who's wondering.
Hey, we got Kelly Green in the building. What is good? What is good? Welcome to the party, brother. Good to see you as always.
Yeah, we've got new music coming. I mean, for people that aren't super familiar with the band, our guitar player, Ollie Herbert, passed away in 2018. Or was it 2017? No, it's
2018, I think.
It's 2018. Yeah, he passed away in 2018. So,
of course, Finn knows better.
There, and he was our guitar player, lead guitar player. and wrote most of the riffs since 2006 is when he kind of really stepped in as like the primary riff writer. We had a couple records beforehand and trying to get ourselves together and kind of find our sound and stuff. So when Ollie passed away, there was a lot of people that were like, and even us, we were like, do we continue without Ollie? And then Richardson hit us up, and we.
For any band that deals with that, like once you hit a certain level, that's a real question of changing members, changing the lineup for any reason. Specifically, in the case of if one of your members died, it's always going to cause friction in the fan group. So if you're already at a certain level, it might make sense to just be like, all right, let's just hang it up. We had a good run. Good job. We did better than 99.9% of any other band out there. So let's just hang it up. But they didn't.
We'd been friends with Jason for a long, long time, and he obviously could do this stuff. And he's like, yo, I'll come in and I'll fill in. And we were like sick, and we did a tour, and it was sick. It was fun. He was super cool. And we were like, look, dude, we're at a point where we don't have to like rush music out to pay the bills, which is what a lot of bands have to do. Yeah. And so they're like, oh, we got to get something out because we got to stay relevant. And I can't pay the bills. All that remains, thankfully, isn't in that spot. So we can, we were like, look, if you got stuff to do, we can work with you if you want to be in the band. Like, we're not like trying to shove stuff out there to stay relevant. We have a fan base, and we have fans that are going to check out our stuff and people that are going to come see us. So, we can work with you. And he's like, yeah, dude, that would rule. So,
I'm thinking about this. What do you guys think that, what I was just talking about with lineup changes? Do you think that is lesser so now that people are more familiar with that more robotic style of metal? Because it's much easier to replace a thing. And I don't mean to, say that a person in a band is a thing, but the end product is not mostly them playing. Like, that's just the foundation. And then there's, even just your amplifier and your pedals and whatever. So I'm wondering if now it's kind of easy to just kind of slip somebody else in, as long as they have the chops, then it's not as unique as was before. I don't know. Am I making sense? Do you guys agree, disagree? Let me know. What am I talking about here?
He joined the band, and so he's had to do. When he joined the band, he had a commitment for a record, and then COVID happened, and Mike Martin, our other guitar player, had a kid and his first kid, and so things have been putting it on the back burner, and hopefully we can get something out. I want to get it this year, but it might not be this year just because Jason's got touring stuff that he's doing. He's just back from Southeast Asia and stuff, so we'll see what we can get done in the next couple months. So I really have, part of the reason why I'm saying not this year is because I really have an aversion to releasing stuff in the fourth quarter. So like once November hits, I don't want to put anything out because no one's paying attention. Yeah. They're worried about their family, their lives and stuff. And so if it doesn't come out by like October, it'll be next year. So right. But yes, there is stuff there's stuff coming. We're working with Josh Wilbur, who produced a bunch of Lamb of God stuff. He's like Lamb of God's dude. He's produced a bunch of Trivium stuff. He did the Order of Things with us. So, it's coming. It's just slow.
Got it. Well, I know that there were, at least at some point, a lot of questions about Ollie's death. Is that something you can talk about at all? Like, where do things stand with all of that?
I don't think that I can talk about it.
Yeah.
We are dealing with some litigation regarding the parties that I would have to talk about that. So,
yeah.
All right. So, and then if you're just joining us, we this is mostly a political, cultural type channel. So, with Phil Labonte being on Timcast IRL, coming on the Punk Rock MBA, I thought it was a perfect crossover. And we did, their podcast goes on for another another 15 minutes, but we actually covered that in the first section of this stream. So if you missed it, then you could just rewind it back or watch back the replay. So that's it, guys. I just wanted to show you this because it is important to see outside of a political context that these ideas are real. These values exist. And if you can see that, if you can understand that it's more than just winning an argument, it's more than just being right. It's about what is going to allow our society to continue. It's that dramatic. If you can understand that the same types of things that will save that are the same types of things that makes a good band, the same type of things that makes a good bandmate. All of these things are interconnected. And so, I very much appreciate anybody who is new and stopping by for the first time. If you enjoyed what you were doing or what I was doing, then please hit subscribe. And I'm live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Usually, again, talking about culture, politics, and trying to bridge the gap between everybody who has gone fucking insane and acts like, K-pop fans, except with real life. It's not good. We can't keep doing it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for partying with me. Thank you so much for feeding my co-host, Morty, a.k.a. Jesus Cat. Thank you to Arturo for stopping by for the first time. Jim John, sorry, I forgot your name. We had somebody else who was new. I apologize for forgetting, but I do very much appreciate you. Everett was here. Thank you so much to Indie Film for sponsoring the damn thing. And guys, remember that the show is not over. We're heading over to Discord right now. The link is in the bio, and it is free to join. Look at Splits already. Got it ready to go. It is free, guys, but it's not going to stay free. Got a small channel, got a small community, but we are growing. We are building, and it's free. So if you join while it's free, it's going to be free forever. But I have a number in my head. And when we get to that number, I'm cutting it off. And everybody, I don't care if they're hot girl, I don't care if they're my best friend. Obviously not my best friend if they're not in my Discord now, but you get the point. They will all have to pay. And I mean, I'm not going to be charging people out the ass, but like $2 a month or something. But you will never have to pay a cent. So head on over. Splits is already in the video chat room. I'm gonna head there right after this. Just gotta take the dog out. But again, thank you so much for partying with me, guys. I know there are so many other things that you could be doing. So just to be spending your time with me means a lot. It really, really, really does. Also, new members, I don't just do live streams. I drop a new short video, 10 to 20 minutes every single day. Every single day, talking about the same kind of stuff, trying to fix this broken world. So if you are down for that and you are here for the ride, I am sure you're going to enjoy that. With that, again, guys, I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I definitely did. Once again, this is Morty, and I am your host, Lutch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, I am out of here. Peace.